Okay, good evening and welcome to the October 27th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Barnstable Planning Board. Located here at Barnstable Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass. We're in the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room, located on the second floor at 7 p.m. The meeting notice was previously filed with the town clerk. Application materials may be accessed through the Planning Board website or by contacting Karen Pina at karen.pina@town.barnstable.ma.us or calling 508-862-4064. Start off with a notice of recording. The meeting will be televised live via Xfinity 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live stream on the Town of Barnstable's website, which is barnstable.cablecast.tv/internet channel/watch now. I will now inquire whether anyone else is taping, and if you are, please make your presence known. Seeing none, we will call the meeting to order and introduce our board members and staff, starting with Michael.
Good evening, Michael Messinas.
And Mary.
Good evening, Mary Barry.
And Ray.
Good evening, Ray Sexton.
And Mike. Sorry, Matt.
Good evening, Matt Tague.
Tim.
Good evening, Tim O'Neill.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Kyle.
Kyle Pedicini for the Planning Department.
Jim.
Good evening, Jim Kupfer, Director of Planning and Development.
And Karen.
Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
Thank you all. My name is Steve Robichaud. We'll start with general public comment. This is for public comment that is unrelated to any of our agenda items this evening. This evening we have 4 zoning amendments on our proposal, which we started at our last meeting. If we have any comments not associated with those 4 items, please come forward at this time for general public comment. Welcome, welcome. Same thing as usual, 3 minutes. If you can just state your name for the record, and thank you for coming down.
Eric Schwab, Hyannis. How you doing today? Do any of you still read the newspaper?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, as you see, there's collateral damage associated with the growth of the growth incentive zone. It's on the margins, but it's significant. There's a wetlands area which should never have been included in the GIZ. Never. I mean, you don't put wetlands in a growth incentive zone. But everyone was just trying to get their special project in there. So now it's blowing up. So Sheila Lyons, are you familiar with Sheila? She's well respected. Arguably the most senior elected woman on the Cape. She had a comment about the growth incentive zone, which I'd like to share with you. We are paying billions, destroying communities in order to build more. Instead of keeping a special place special, some elected officials have pushed for less regulations, urging towns to adopt zoning that promote development. Sound familiar? Water is a finite resource. We rely on our single source aquifer. We are destroying the tourism economy, and we cannot sustain overdevelopment. If you agree, it's time to speak up before it's all gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any additional general public comment? Come on down. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Just state your name for the record.
Roberta Mock. I live on Greenwood Ave on Joshua's Creek. I'm here to protect the West End wetlands. Years ago, there was a herring run, blue crab, glass eel, which, by the way, goes for $300 a pound. Brad Chase, who is the chief scientist for the Mass Fisheries, lives in Harwich and commutes to, I think, New Bedford. Now, Harwich is a community because Brad Chase lives there. They're putting in glass eel bridges for the American migratory eel. That whole West End area there is a critically endangered wildlife migratory corridor. That needs to be restored to what it was, and over my dead body, I'm here to fight all of these encroachments by developers and the town. I don't want to see that pump station there. This has got to stop. I've had enough of it. I live in a spot that's very special. I may even donate my house because I'm right on the creek. They could build a bridge over. That whole reason that Lennar did not build there is because of a grassroots movement of somebody knocking on my door. And now we have a much better. I want to see more respect for the residents and what we have to say, because it's really important to listen to us. We work together with you. We live with things. You have a lot of pressure on you by developers that have different priorities, not the priorities of our community. It's really important. I would love to see Brad Chase working together to bring back and restore that herring run. And I don't want to see this town destroy that West End wetland any more than it already has. We have, the science community has now, from Woods Hole, is now working right in at Four Seas. We've got the whole new science community. We have everything at our fingertips. All the brilliant minds are here in Cape Cod. Shame on us if we don't save that for future generations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. General public comment. Thank you, sir. Come on down. State your name for the record.
All right, let's see. Name is Hi. Oh, there you go. My name is Jeffrey DeLuce. And I live right down there on 32 Pleasant Hill Lane, where we're having all these problems with all this land developers and so forth and so on. She was right about that pumping station there. And I've been there for years, and I've been watching this whole thing unfold ever since I got wind of what they were trying to do. The main situation here is that pumping station is located at the very southern end of a north to south flow. Where the flow starts up at the little creek, Crooks Creek, right behind the skating rink by the seniors' home. It runs down through Hyannis Creek at 32 Pleasant Hill Lane, right out to the Aunt Betty's Pond, then right over to North Street, South Street, into Twin Brooks, into Stewart's Creek to the ocean. Now, when they put this pump there, they put it at the very base of where the water meets. Let's take a rocket science to figure out that the water flows downhill. So, all those streams have been flowing downhill. So you don't put a pumping station at the base of the downhill expecting not to get all the water that is running downhill. So they put that pump station there, and it's pulling all the water from the ponds up north of it, right through the wetlands right where I live. It's bone dry now. I got photographs of me in a kayak, and now my kayak's sitting out there in the middle of a mud flat. And this has been dry since July 18th, gone. Has no water left in it. Now, that pump station there they say it's there to improve the sewer system of Hyannis and the streets of Mitchell Way and all this. What a nonsense. I haven't seen anybody get a notice that they were going to put in a sewer system to any residents in that whole entire street, and I live there. So that's much of nonsense. They're using that station to pump out that water out of the ground where Stewie Bornstein's building sank into the ground because the foundation flooded with water. We all know this. And they covered it over with the Band-Aid and then kept it going and then sold it to the next sucker. And now they're caught in a bind because they went and built on something they knew was a hazard. They knew flooded, and they knew it would flood again. Now, you dig down 8-10 feet to put in a basement, you've got a swimming pool. So the solution is, I know what we'll do. We'll just put up a fake, phony sign on the fence and start doing what we do best. Don't let no one catch us, and let's pump away. And they pumped for 10 straight days and took 10 million gallons of water out of that aquifer, which all runs downhill right to that damn pump. And they took all that water out of there, and now there's nothing left. And what's creeping back is, even after all the rain, we have no water. So whatever they put in that building, in that parking space where Mr. Bornstein had his car dealership, was a one-story showroom and a garage, which flooded, and the guy fell through the floor because for 30-some-odd years he was pumping water out of that thing because he could never stop it once the foundation cracked because you're on a friggin' aquifer. It's soggy. So you're going to put a 3 or 4 or 5-story, whatever it is you want to put there on top of the building. What do you think's going to happen? So let's get rid of all the water. That'll save the day. No, it isn't. Because now you've created a void underneath that land. And if you go there now, you can see instead of it being a flat piece of land, you can see it go out and billow down.
Mr.
and come
Deleuze,
back
that's
up.
been 3 minutes.
And they're gonna put a building on that, and it's gonna flood again, and it's gonna be a mess. So why are they doing this on the lowest point of land where they know the water's gonna come? Doesn't make any sense, man. It's greed and it's money. I hope you all do the right thing, 'cause it's gonna be a disaster when they start digging over there. Okay? So you guys have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't buy land over there, okay?
Okay.
Appreciate your comments and firsthand experience. Thank you for that. Any additional general public comment this evening? Please come forward. Okay, seeing none, we will move to our first agenda item this evening. Again, as mentioned, we have 4 zoning amendments on our agenda this evening. These all were continued at our last meeting, which I believe was September 22nd. And we have some documents from... Chair. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Is John Kennedy with us this evening? There he is. Perfect. Thank you, John. John, do you mind coming up now to make some comments for us? John comes from the Cape Cod RTA. He is the Cape Cod RTA administrator. One of the items we are considering this evening is parking in downtown Hyannis area. And John, we appreciate you coming to add some thoughts and comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, directors. This is more of an introduction as well for everyone. Again, my name is John Kennedy, no relation to the other. But when Junior was alive, I used to get mistaken only by name only. You could imagine the disappointment when I showed up. What we do at Cape Cod RTA, well, I've been here just a few weeks, but I've spent the last 14 years as the general manager of the operating the company, essentially, and 40 years working on our businesses, others, trying to solve and identify the challenges, transit challenges that we've had in our area. And my entire career has been concentrated almost exclusively on the Cape, although New England at large as well. But I appreciate the opportunity to come in and introduce myself and to also offer some potential solutions and an offer of partnership. So as our region and certainly as our downtown area grows and becomes denser, our organization can provide that mobility and the transit needs that folks need. I'll tell you one of the first things that we did was, I'm assuming that many of you are familiar with our fixed route bus system, travels the entire Cape, touches all 15 towns. As of January, it's entirely free, and it's free in perpetuity. I repeat that. The fixed route service is free. So where there are limited parking options and where folks don't have the ability to drive, we offer that ability to go anywhere, essentially, on the Cape. Interesting to note that the highest density of our operations is located right here in Hyannis. All but 2 of our fixed routes originate and terminate right at the transportation center at the other end of Main Street. So besides offering the free fixed route service for those that may be car challenged, we also provide what we call the DART system. It's a dial-a-ride transportation system. And what that means is that every single doorstep and every single business on the Cape in the 380 square miles or whatever it is, that we provide service to every single one of those doorsteps just for asking. We don't require you to be infirm or to have any disability, but we will take anyone who needs a trip, and we have an awful lot of people that subscribe every single day, schools, work, medical appointments, you name it. It's a great service. It's for a flat $3, and it's $1.50 for older and disabled folks. The other newer item that we have, which also touches every single doorstep on the Cape, primarily, though, in the greater Hyannis areas where the greatest concentration is our Smart Dart system. That's a lot like Uber and Lyft, except that instead of paying $30, $40, $50, it's $3 flat fee. And the greater downtown Hyannis area and Barnstable at large, anyone can take that Smart Dart between the towns of Barnstable, Yarmouth, and Dennis. So think about it. If you needed to travel to work or, for any of the other reasons within those 3 towns, you can easily get there by dialing it up, or you can't say dialing anymore, by hailing it on your smartphone. It's a remarkable system that we just started a few years ago, and it's taken on an incredible amount of popularity. So we run trolleys, we do a number of Boston Hospital buses and the like, but really for the downtown area where the concentration of all of those services are located, anyone at any apartment complex, residential dwelling can take our services either for free or for $1.50 or $3, depending on. So we, as I said, we identified for years what some of the challenges are, and we'd like to partner, further with you folks and with the communities in order to do that even better as we move forward. It's a bit of a pun, and I don't intend it to be, but I can't help it, especially in transportation. But transit is, especially when we're providing free fixed route service, is one of the drivers for the economy, especially for certain levels of the economy that are different than what the MBTA has provided over the years, with a heavy white-collar population traveling. We take folks to the Stop and Shops of the world, to the Dunkin' Donuts, wherever there's employment and wherever there's a reason to travel. That's what we do. So, going forward, I've worked closely with Jim and also with Kyle recently, but we'd like to offer again, the opportunity to partner with all of you and the communities to see how there are additional ways we might be able to do that. I would say that the fixed route, as it operates, will pick up anyone, not even at a bus stop, but if they're on the correct side of the road and they flag us down, we'll stop and pick them up too. So if there's a complex or a dense dwelling area, oftentimes we will divert and adjust our fixed route. We actually meet weekly on this topic, and if we need to adjust our routes to make sure that the denser populations are being cared for, and we will do that. So I appreciate if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them, but I'm grateful if, at least for the opportunity to introduce myself. I know a handful of you already, but.
Well, thank you so much for that and for the information provided and for the work you do in the community. I know one of the items on our agenda this evening is talking about parking downtown. Yeah. So certainly we wanted to have your perspective and listen to your thoughts. Any questions, comments for John?
I just looked it up, actually. I didn't realize that you do the Boston Hospital transport, too, for $30.
Well, 15 each way, right, correct.
Yeah, round trip is $30. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah.
So just a very brief explanation of that is we leave early in the morning as far out on the Cape as Wellfleet, and we hit the park and rides on the way, and we hit as many as 12 different medical centers in the Boston area, and we drop off each of the folks that and we can put up to 22 passengers on board, and then we wait a couple of hours and we do the same thing in reverse and get the folks home, by early evening. So incredible, and like you say, it's $15 each way.
Yeah, that's great. I know that there's a lot of people that still go up to Boston for medical appointments or surgery, so.
We're working on a bit of a system to do something similar here in the Cape, because we do a lot of ones and twos getting to individual doctors and to medical centers, but we're now working on a way to sort of provide the same regular service for that. And I know I've talked with Jim before about it, is my impression of what the future of transit should be is, and especially at a transit authority, is to marshal the resources that we have and to coordinate the multitude of providers that there are that are, fractured and standing as individual operators, and we control, the resources to be able to dispatch, provide trips, pay for the trips. So that's sort of a focus going forward. But, in terms of the topics here, if there are population centers, and we've worked with towns and developers and community members to try and make sure that we're hitting all the appropriate spots, so that people aren't either left, carless and unable to get to where they're going, or they become, viable, productive members of our society that otherwise, weren't.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, just a great thing to offer the community and something that is a great big need here. So just great work. Anything else? All set? Thank you so much.
Well, don't be bashful. Call if anybody has any ideas.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Welcome, Mr. Schulte.
Yes, if it's okay, just to make a couple of general comments, and then I may have comment on specific items.
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Board members. I'm Bob Schulte, resident of Centerville and former chair of the Ad Hoc Zoning and Regulatory Review Committee. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you once again. Since I addressed you over a little month ago, I sincerely hope you took me up on my request and reread, or perhaps read for the first time, the Ad Hoc Zoning and Regulatory Review Committee's memo and the immediate priority recommendations to the Town Council. I provided you with my detailed comments at your last meeting, so I won't repeat them again tonight. However, I will remind you that the committee's recommendations were developed after careful consideration of extensive public comment over a 9-month period. The public's comments were about the concerns and changes that many residents and business owners would like to see made to our zoning regulations in order to preserve and improve the quality of life in our town in order to satisfy their current and future needs. In addition to public comment, before making its final recommendations to the Town Council, the committee's members spent at least 40 to 50 hours reviewing the relevant provisions of the Town Code, considering a variety of information provided by the town and other sources, and it also met with and heard from numerous town employees, subject experts, and citizens. As I mentioned at your last meeting, it's now been close to 3 years since the downtown Hyannis zoning was enacted in 2023. Much has changed over the course of the past 3 years, and we've learned about the things that work and some things that don't in our downtown Hyannis zoning. I would challenge each of you to look me in the eye and say with a straight face that what's being built at 201 Main Street is what you envisioned and you want to see more of in downtown Hyannis. As one resident said to me recently, it looks like a cruise ship mistakenly entered the harbor, overshot the dock, and landed on Main Street. To believe that downtown Hyannis zoning passed in 2023 was perfect, and to refuse to learn from actual experience and adjust it to reflect the current input from the public, both from residents and business owners, would be nothing but total arrogance and a refusal to acknowledge public concerns and opinion. I'd like to provide you with a prime example of information that's been updated since 2023, and which I believe should be a primary consideration in the town's decisions regarding zoning. That important information is new long-term population projections for Barnstable County and the town. There was an article this past week in the October 21st Cape Cod Times about the Cape Cod Bridges project. In that article, it talked about concerns the public had expressed regarding the new replacement bridges and increasing the population of Cape Cod and the problems that may cause. Well, interestingly enough, the 9,906-page DEIR, or Draft Environmental Impact Report, filed with the state for the project includes a socioeconomic technical report that was completed in August, just 2 months ago. And guess what? The technical report states that based on the most recent data on population projections, Barnstable County's population is now projected to decline from 212,990 people to 176,007 people, or 17.4% between 2019 and 2050. That's right, I said decline. And the number of Barnstable County's households is also expected to decline even more, from 94,323 to 82,313, or 17.9%. This isn't data I'm making up. This comes directly from the state, and the population data source was the UMass Donahue Institute, which is the same organization used frequently by the Cape Cod Commission for its reporting. I have a copy of the relevant pages of the technical report, which I'll give to the chair when I'm done commenting. My point is this: circumstances change. We have new and better data, and it's time to step back and adjust our zoning and housing policies to reflect the real needs of our community and the concerns and desires of our citizens. One of the other ad hoc high priority recommendations was increasing the inclusionary housing percentage. There's no doubt about it. We need more affordable housing, but we can't afford to build that and at 10 times the market and build 10 times the market rate to get it. I'll close by asking you to respect the significant input and comments from the public, as well as the time spent and hard work that the ad hoc zoning committee put into drafting its immediate priority recommendations, and ask you to please vote to recommend the town council pass the 4 agenda items under discussion as proposed by the committee. I see there are at least a couple of other members of the ad hoc committee here tonight, Ken Osman and Charlie Bloom, and I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schulte. Oh, thank you.
Copy of the report with the relevant sections, and that's 2 months old.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Take a look at that. Okay, excellent. So I just wanted to note that the board is in receipt of 6 items of correspondence. Nathan Hirschler on Monday, October 22nd. Jake Dewey yesterday, the 26th. Jeff Knowlton on October 16th. Mary Donnelly on September 30th. Susan Rome on September 23rd. And Bennett and Carol Dottridge on September 23rd as well. So just wanted to note that the board is in receipt of all that correspondence, and that correspondence is saved on the planning board's website under correspondence. Some additional general public comment. Welcome.
Good evening.
State your name for the record.
My name is William Headley Smith. I'm in Precinct 13, Hyannis. There was a very good address to this nation about how we're going and how we didn't do things in the past and what we're trying to do now. I've been here several times, and I've worked on many projects, city, state, renovations, Faneuil Hall, Ben Thompson. And it's the only time I've ever heard of a progress going forward in a town or community where there's no overall plan what this thing is going to look like in 75 years. I've never, ever, ever, in anything I've ever done, seen where it's like, well, let's try this, let's try that. If you look at the new hospital, you could look at the plans, what they were going to do on this new cancer center, right down to every single outlet for electricity before they started one shovelful. We have to grip ourselves with the fact by adding more people in our community in rental houses on the Main Street districts, we are going to bring a lot of other things as well as crime, drugs, and homelessness. We haven't dealt with what we have already. My point is, how can we really proceed with any confidence whatsoever, when we don't even have a plan of what we want it to look like when we're done? The planning board job is by paid people to be able to recommend to the town council who are mostly layman people in all different occupations who might not be familiar with construction engineering, what the right thing to do is. I have said 201 Main Street, bravo. That is not a place in Hyannis, Massachusetts. That's a place in Brockton, Massachusetts. When you do 307, you're putting a wall bigger than Fenway Park's green monster on the Main Street. Now we have 62-inch sidewalks. For what? It's not the place for it. You don't hear of people getting shot in Austinville Main Street at a bar after hours. We are one of 6 communities in this town, and we're being treated like we're a city. We can't go on forward until we all stop and realize I'm not blaming you. I am pointing out a fact. It's time to stop, make a moratorium to figure out how we are going to put it all together for a plan that works for the children and the community that we love so much. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to address at least one other gentleman's comments,
Feel free.
we have a thing called the Local Comprehensive Plan, which is an attempt by the citizens here to craft exactly that, a vision of what this place is supposed to look like, and across the board, economic, environmental, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as a matter of fact, is it done officially? It's done.
It is. It's in place.
It's done and it's on the books. So I recommend that you might want to take a look at that.
I have.
Well, then, clearly,
It has nothing to do with what it's going to look like in 75 years, the whole complex.
I don't know, its time horizon is 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's a great mention. Appreciate the shout out of the comprehensive plan. Prior member Bob Twist put a lot of time and effort into that, so that is in effect now. Thank you for that, Ray. Appreciate it. Any additional general public comment this evening before we get into the 4 zoning amendments? Okay, moving forward, we're going to open our first zoning amendment this evening. Let's see, Matt, would you mind reading this one in?
This is Town Council item number 2026-007, a proposal to amend the code of the Town of Barnstable, Part 1, General Ordinances, Chapter 240, zoning, to amend the area in the downtown Main Street district where ground floor commercial space is required. And I believe this is an open public hearing.
Thank you, Matt. That's correct. This public hearing is open. Last meeting when we discussed this item, there did not seem to be a lot of opposition on the board for moving this one forward. One item that was discussed was possibly including language that allowed for non-commercial space on the first floor with a special permit. So figured we would put this one first, see if we can move this along, but we will start with public comment. And if there's a public comment on this one, please come forward. Mr. Schulte, lead us off.
Bob Schulte from Centerville. Yes, I just wanted to, associated with this, I wanted to thank Mr. Kennedy for his comments about the RTA. I have a fair amount of familiarity with them. I'm a founding board member of Barnstable Neighbor to Neighbor, which works with senior citizens in the town. And it's a source that we refer to a lot of folks there for rides. With respect to its application to people who might live on Main Street and the parking, and again, hopefully you're going to pass this one as proposed, but my point there or consideration is when you have, say, 2 working people living in an apartment on Main Street, one of them works in Yarmouth, one of them works in Sandwich, the RTA is not a viable option for someone who has to get from downtown Hyannis on Main Street to a job that's not one of the direct routes at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. You know, it's not practical. I called them and talked about that, said, hey, here's a hypothetical. If I had, a job in Hyannis or in Yarmouth and I had to get there every day at 8 o'clock and then back at 5 o'clock, well, you have to give them 60 to 90 minutes on the front end to make sure they can pick you up, take you back. It's not a practical source for someone who has to get to their job on a daily basis, 5 days a week. It's a tremendous resource, and I look forward to them expanding that to help, for example, putting some stops over near the Wilkins and some of those other areas. But just as it pertains to people who's living in downtown, 1 parking spot only when you have 2 people working with 2 cars and need to get to work, it's just not a practical source of rides. So that's just my point. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Again, in relation to this zoning amendment item 2026-007, which is amending the area in downtown Main Street where ground floor commercial space is required. Jim, could you just give us a quick summary on this one more time? Again, this is just looking to extend the geographic region, extend the map.
Absolutely, not a problem. So as of...
Excuse me for a second.
Sorry, yes, right.
Mr. Chairman, just as an oversight perhaps.
Okay.
I thought it would be appropriate if Mr. Kennedy wanted to respond to those comments.
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. If Mr. Kennedy would like, and then...
I apologize, I was looking at the first item on your list, you took them out of order, so that my comments were directed to you.
Okay, understood.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
So the window that we have windows on the pickups and drop-offs for the dial-a-ride transportation that was referenced. They're 30-minute windows, and we have to provide a window because of changing traffic patterns and weather and those sort of things. Plus, our service isn't necessarily a limousine service. We have buses sometimes with 4, 6, 8 and larger numbers of people that are all sort of going in similar directions. So that's how we can provide such cost-effective travel is by, filling the bus to the extent that we can and still get folks to where they need to be. So interesting to note is that the pickup window can vary by a half hour either way, either coming or going. But what we pay extremely close attention to is what we call the appointment time. So if your time is 10 a.m. that you need to be somewhere, we might pick you up within a half hour on your pickup time, which might be 9 o'clock, it might be 8:45, it might be 9:15. But we have a 96.5% on-time performance for drop-offs. And so, and we're really proud of that, and it isn't easy, as you can imagine, with the traffic patterns, so.
Yeah, it's great information. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Jim, yeah, so just a summary, if you don't mind, on the first item, we're talking about the 007.
Yep, not a problem. So for 2026-007, referring to first floor commercial on mixed-use development. This dates back to as early as 2006, where the original zoning required on Main Street commercial between Ocean Street and C Street. In the 2023 changes, they moved those forward and continued that trend from Ocean Street to C Street, mandating commercial. This recommendation is to extend that. So instead of Ocean Street to C Street, we're talking Pleasant Street to C Street. So essentially to Bradford's Hardware, down to C Street, fronting on Main Street, requiring commercial.
Great, thank you for that. If you look at the map, it's about a 2-block span. This is not, a major adjustment. There's only a handful of properties that are affected. At our prior meeting, discussions from the board seem to indicate all members do not necessarily have a problem moving this recommendation forward, with the caveat that a special permit process will be in place where potentially an applicant could seek relief from this requirement through the planning board. So, any additional public comment on this item? So I believe we're going to go for a vote on this, which means we're first going to close the public hearing. So come on down. Thank you. Welcome.
Before you do that, it kind of, the special permit provision in this case defeats the purpose of this recommendation. You're creating the opportunity for special interests to lobby you folks and create a gap-toothed Main Street. So the whole point of this recommendation was to undo some arguably shady negotiations that occurred with the Wind Development Corp., Robert Brennan, who was the representative, the attorney. So this has all been well documented. Okay, this exemption was carved out intentionally for wind development. So we're trying to close that gap. By allowing for special permit, you're just opening the door again. So just for once, let's do the right thing, keep everything even keel, and everyone has to live by the same rules. So we respectfully request that you not allow the special permit amendment in this case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tim, go ahead.
Just as a response, I think that this board would be more than justified in hearing any special permit provisions for this as far as anything else within Hyannis, within these zoning districts, and within the GIS, as we are the special permit granting authority. And as far as how this potentially relates to any project that is existing and in place, I would remind the general public that the applicant at, what's the TD Bank building? Is it 301?
307.
307. I believe that they pulled an A&R on that right after it had gone through historic approval. So that locks in their zoning for 2, 3, 4 years.
If we're referring to that specific project, that actually went through a preliminary and a definitive subdivision.
A
So that-
that was a
preliminary subdivision?
Yeah, so they actually have their development rights frozen for, I believe it's 8 years under Mass General
So
law.
for 8 years.
And that's considered kind of a backup plan. I mean, the main plan, they do have
So-
building permits for at this point.
All of this doesn't affect that
Right.
because that zoning's already been locked in place for them and gone. So that's that. Thank you.
Yeah, good to note that. Yes, Mr. Schulte.
So can I ask a question for Jim? Under the current zoning, so right now, anything from Ocean to C Street, do they have the ability to request a permit? So you're going to carve out an exception for this 2 block, but right now, anything currently under the zoning could not ask for a special permit to get a waiver?
At this moment, there is no special permit relief for that.
So you're proposing to create a special permit relief for just these 2 blocks, is what you're saying? You're going to leave everything else the same for everyone, but you're going to change the rules for these 2 blocks?
Well, I do plan to have that discussion here with the board and deliberate on that.
I would just remind the members that that's not eligible. No one that's already currently between Ocean to C Street has that ability. So if you were to do this, you're creating an exception for those 2 blocks.
Right.
Which doesn't seem equitable to me, but that's my thoughts.
Yep, I agree with that, certainly. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. State your name for the record.
My name's Ken Alsman. I was also on the committee working on these things. Real simply, I think the idea of an exception, unless it applies to everybody, I've seen, my experience in background is in city planning and for a long time back in California. All it takes is one exception to become a habit. And if you really are serious about this, give it a chance to work as without exceptions. And if there becomes an outcry for something else to happen, that you make a fairly simple change in your code. But consistency is really important, particularly for retail along the street. There's a town near where I worked called Palo Alto, and they happen to have at the present time some problem with some of the retail uses. So the cry is, oh, let's make them into offices. And let's allow offices. And once the offices go in, we can all understand what's going to happen to the commercial district. It's just, it'll end up being a huge amount of offices. And that's in Palo Alto. I would hate to see that happen here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Any additional public comment? Welcome, thank you.
William Headley Smith again. Jim, I just wanted to ask you one quick question about this. On 307 Main Street, for instance, do they have an exception for a ground floor retail space?
There's no exceptions. There's no requirement for commercial space on that block as of at the zoning right now.
Would you explain to me why you're going down to Pleasant Street is going to make it any different?
I'm sorry, the question?
You're going to extend that block down to Pleasant Street or Bradford's hardware store. And what is that going to entail? They don't have any, explain that a special exemption.
Are you referring to the special permit
Yes.
that they're
Yes.
that they're offering? So how it would practically work if an applicant were to come in between Ocean Street to Pleasant Street, and there's a number of properties along that way, and if they were to apply and not have commercial on the first floor, if this was to be adopted, and they wanted a special permit added in, they being the planning board adding in, an applicant would then apply, hold a public hearing right back here in front of this board, and request that special permit for whatever other use, I guess, that they would be applying for.
Okay, but they're not required under this new permit to do, they can put a commercial vehicle there without even having to get a permit, correct?
A commercial use, you mean? Yeah.
Like a retail store.
That's correct. It's allowed right now. It's an option you are allowed to put in right now. You're not mandated to put it in.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like anybody else on that main street between those blocks don't have to put a retail space in?
At the very moment, unless this is approved by this board.
So getting back to what I said to Mr. Sexton about the overall view as far as like planning, as we develop these conversations, we're actually trying to find a solution for the town to have a physical plan that shows where the town in the future might be contributing green spaces and place to picnic and stuff like that, and what their vision is in the years ahead, instead of letting the builders and commercial people dictate what we're going to do as far as the ambiance and the elegance of the historical Main Street of Hyannis. There's no plan for that. Now, there are conceptual plans, which I mentioned to you, not to be rude, that I have read, and I'm really up to here with the fact of its lack of aesthetics that's been so positively part of Hyannis's downtown for so many years. I would like to see that grow, and I think many people want to see that grow as far as beauty, rather than just people coming in here and putting in buildings for people to rent. So,
Mr.
thank you,
Smith,
Jim.
it's been 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I've asked this question before and never got a response from you, so I'd like to have somehow a response to what I'm saying and how you feel about that, rather than to have it come back again, because I'm a very busy person. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Any additional public comments on zoning amendment 007? Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't really understand what's going on here. I don't know what the hurry is. You seem, Tim, to already have your mind made up without, like whatever we say here, you're going to just do whatever is, but you're not going to change how you feel about this. And I don't quite understand. That's the sense I get. I don't even understand what you're doing here.
Can I just make a comment to that? I don't think anybody's made up their mind. I think we're here to listen to
Okay,
hear
so
what
please
everybody has to
explain
say.
to me what's
So
happening here to our Main Street.
Take a breath and
Okay.
know that, okay? So that
Thank you.
we're listening and we want to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Well, you're making it more complicated. You're allowing developers. What's the hurry? Why can't we be a little bit more strict about having the town plan? It's in your hands. Don't give the bank away to these developers.
What specifically are you referring to?
Well, I don't even understand what's going on here.
And why are you commenting?
Because I want to understand.
I can explain it quick. I mean,
Please.
Jim just gave a real good summary about 30 seconds ago.
I guess I don't quite understand it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. So as of right now, so on Main Street, our current zoning today, and it's been like that for 20 years or so, on the first floor of every building, you're required to provide commercial space on the first floor. So if you're walking up and down Main Street between Ocean Street and C Street, you'll see commercial on the first floor, right? So all of us walking down will see commercial, with some exceptions, obviously, like the library, the post office, et cetera. What the request here is to take, instead of terminating that at Ocean Street, so if you're walking down from C Street and you're coming down and you stop at Ocean Street, for 20 plus years, you weren't mandated to put commercial on the first floor. the request here is to mandate commercial on the first floor beyond Ocean Street. So Ocean Street all the way to Pleasant Street now. So, going down the road, there's like the Photoshop, there's the Gap on Main Street there that something might get constructed one day. There's the Red Market, et cetera, as you're going down Main Street. This would mandate that anything that gets developed, redeveloped, what have you, would require commercial on that first floor. And now what the discussion is okay, do we want to consider mandating that? So from Ocean Street to Pleasant Street, mandating commercial to keep it going down Main Street? And if so, do we want that? They're talking now about whether or not there should be just a hard mandate, or should it be a mandate? And then if not, if you have another use, it may be considered, but by special permit, again, as a public hearing. So that's what's being discussed right now.
And I just
As
want
long as it's only being discussed and not decided on here, because I think to change something into making it negative, I still don't understand the details of what will happen, the repercussions of what decision is made here.
So our decisions, we're an advisory board to the town council. So we make advisory recommendations on zoning to the town council. Any vote that happens here on zoning, nothing goes into effect. We just don't have that power. So the town council actually makes the final decision about whether or not that zoning recommendation goes into effect.
And what is driving this decision to be made today?
So this recommendation came to us from the ad hoc zoning committee chaired by Mr. Schulte. We commenced discussion of this item last meeting on September 22nd. And if the board decides that there's no further deliberation, we will vote this evening.
So, ma'am, we didn't come up with these. Mr. Schulte's folks did.
Okay,
And we were asked to then look at the good work they did and see if it makes a good idea or not. We're not selling anything.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm not understanding,
Okay.
but
All
I
good?
just,
Yeah, no worries.
I just don't understand. I think that I trust Mr. Schulte and the work he's done. I think that should be recognized.
We're considering moving forward an item he recommended to us this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just wanted to add on the special permit too, I do like the idea of having the special permit open, because sometimes you do have an applicant come forward with something that the public really, really wants. That's why regulatory agreements exist. Some good ones have come out of this town, and an example would be if somebody, say, wanted to do a structure with 100% affordable housing specifically for first responders, they would have the right to do that by offering a special permit. Now, obviously, you'd have to have rules that allowed you to do that in place, but that's what I see as the reason for special permits, is sometimes there's, an applicant, something that makes sense for the town, and that's why that, I think, is a good tool to have.
Mr. Chairman,
Ray,
I
yes.
have a question for you and for Jim then. Just taking into consideration what's been said, is it feasible, is it prudent to, if there's going to be a special permit process, that it would apply to the entire area and not just for the addition, the recommended 2 more blocks?
It could go either way. I don't see it as being unfair to only applying it to this new 2-block sector, because no one area of Main Street is the same. You can't consider the center and the heart of Main Street to be exactly the same as the far end of Main Street. It's just a different area, as everyone.
And
It is true.
Just to jump in on the special permit provisions, thinking, actually, it was in front of the planning board here on that end of Main Street, which is kind of like a fringe of the, kind of downtown. It's transitioning down to kind of more of a neighborhood. That's where we saw a special permit provision, special permit application come in for a project that, I think it was a form-based project, but it was kind of like, I think it was 8 duplexes down near, I get the road names all mixed up.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the old cardiology office. So that was a great case for a special permit, because they couldn't meet the full sidewalk facade build out. It was, hey, we already had this project designed. If you guys like it, it's kind of more smaller residential. And we don't want to build out fully on the street, because we need to have a driveway, we want to have a lawn, and we want to have a few other things to kind of shield it. So that's there's a special permit ability for a project like that to come through that doesn't fit narrowly into those guidelines. So special permit provisions are even, I think, more important on kind of like the fringes of the zoning district.
Agreed, and this is what I would consider. If you look at Main Street, these two areas, the area near the West End Rotary and the area near the town line are the transition areas as you transition into Main Street. To say that those two areas are exactly like the area of Main Street that people are continuously walking, where we do great streets and we have all those restaurants and stores, I just am not going to say that that entire length of Main Street is identical, and that's why I would be okay with a special permit provision for this new addition and not for the whole span. Okay, any additional public comments on this before we move along? Mr. Schwab.
Yes, sir. Bradford Hardware has been the center of the commercial district in downtown Hyannis for, 90 years, 110 years, right? And now suddenly it's a transitionary area? It's the heart
I said
of
the town
Hyannis
line.
commercial.
I said the
It's
town
not
line
on the
to
town
Yarmouth.
line. It is not on the town line.
I'm not referring to Bradford's.
Okay, so you're talking about allowing 2 blocks up to Bradford's Hardware to have special conditions, special permits. Is that right?
That's something we're going to discuss.
Okay, so if you want to clarify your position, you say, yes, what you said made sense. As you get to the edges of the street, right, some transition is appropriate, particularly as you approach the Yarmouth line. But Bradford Hardware is in the heart of the commercial district, and everything along there, the 2 blocks that you're thinking about giving away, is the heart of the historic Main Street. So just stop all these builder-driven exemptions. Stop it. I mean, you appear to be influenced. Okay, the way you're talking about it, the way you're thinking about it, just pass it as recommended. Thank you very much.
Not influenced by anyone, Mr. Schwab. Thank you. Any additional public comment? Hello, welcome.
Hi. I'm Heather Swenson, Centerville resident. So the only thing I would say is to stop and think that when people come to our seaside community, they're coming here to get away from off-Cape type living conditions in some areas. They want to walk down our Main Street, and regardless of what end of Main Street you park at, Main Street is meant to be our tourism. So people come for restaurants, stores, museums, the library, our town green. They do not come to look at somebody's apartment building. So to keep that first level looking in character to what we already have or what we're trying to preserve only makes sense, because once you take away our Main Street businesses, stores, restaurants, we're just any other city town with housing, and people don't come here to look at people's laundry hanging in their windows or Christmas decorations in July that they never took down. So just consider what is it we want to provide our tourism, because without our tourism, we're not much. So thank you. Now I'll fill my name in.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any additional public comment on this item? I'll take that now.
Should we have a motion to close public comment?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move we close public hearing.
Thank you. In a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ray, all those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Public hearing is closed. So at this point, I think it does make sense to have a vote on this one. I think we've had some good discussions. For me, I could go either way on the special permit. Let's hear some thoughts, comments, questions. Michael, what are you thinking?
I'd like to see a special permit provision.
And would you like to see that applied to the length of Main Street or just the new couple of blocks?
That I don't know.
Okay, understood. Mary?
Currently, right now, you cannot have a special permit, Jim.
That's correct.
Correct.
For this specific
area,
topic, yes.
up to Ocean Street to C Street, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, well, actually, right now you wouldn't need a special permit because it's residential or commercial. It's not commercial
You're referring
first.
to from Ocean Street to Pleasant Street, right?
Ocean Street to Pleasant Street,
The area
right
in
now.
which we're talking right now, it's not mandated commercial. So yeah, you wouldn't need a special permit. You can
'Cause you could
put
do either.
commercial, you could put residential, yes.
So yeah, what
but
this
that's
is
not-
saying is it needs to be commercial, special permit provision for not 100% commercial.
But your area, the original area between Ocean Street and C Street, if you wanted to put residential, you cannot,
You cannot.
even with a special permit.
Even with a
Just
special
for
permit.
clarification.
That's correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, so what we're trying to do is just extend it 2 more blocks with the same agreement, basically. That's what I would vote for. That would be my vote.
Understood. Yeah, keep the special permit out of
Yep.
it. Got it. Ray, thoughts?
Yeah. So I'm struggling with following your
Just
logic.
say what she said.
What she said. I'm wondering why it's not a bad idea to make it possible for the entire, from the extended area, from C to Shining Sea, to have a special permit process in place for the, if you will, the length of Main Street.
Yeah, I think the other side of that coin would simply say it's Main Street and it should be retail, commercial, first floor, no matter what.
You know, does it have to be? Is it, you know,
That's the
this,
question, yeah.
nice to as opposed to got to?
Sure.
Man, this is America. I don't, do we have, we're going to dictate, or you will have, I don't know. I don't understand. This is where all our, everything started, was right here, as a matter of fact. So I'm not quite sure that we can't take a suggestion and say it should, the whole district should have the same opportunity to do something different than what is mandated.
The whole
I
length
think I would be in favor of a special permitting process that covers the entire district.
of the Main Street corridor.
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
And, Mr. Chairman, just with your indulgence, the gentleman left, but I just wanted to return to the local comprehensive plan for a minute.
Sure.
Because that is a strategic document. And I have 37 years in the Department of Defense. I will just, a quick primer is you have the strategic level, the operational level, and the tactical level. And the LCP is a strategic document. It serves to guide the town council in what should be appropriated for what and when, and what are the priorities. And then that is the operational level. And the tactical level is when those policies and programs and appropriations then come into play, and Public Works or Transportation or whomever then starts to implement specific projects. And that's how it all comes together as a comprehensive vision of, in this case, it's 10 years out. He was talking 75, but at least 10 years out, with the implication that if the momentum would carry further. And it is in fact a statement of what people are looking the future to look like. So I wish he was still here, because I'd ask him to read it again, because I think he missed it. Oh.
Thank you, Ray. I like that explanation. That was well laid out. Thank you. No,
public hearing-
sir.
the
Public hearing's
Oh,
closed.
Eric, sit
Public
down.
hearing's closed.
Sorry, the public hearing's closed.
Read the charter. It's not how it's described.
Matt,
Just not true.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I find it ironic in this town, and I did read the report, Mr. Schulte, I think it's great. You guys did a lot of work there. One of the concepts was resilience, and recently the town passed a stretch code, and here we are with citizens handing out a freebie to commercial developers, right? Do anyone know what's exempted from the stretch energy code? Commercial buildings under 100,000 square feet. So these guys can go and do whatever they want on the first floor, run freezers all day, do all this kind of stuff, and yet upstairs, we're going to have all sorts of regulations put on how these places are built and otherwise. It seems to me to be a a little bit of a challenge, as I try to be a rule follower, as I try to support what the town's doing, that we, on the one hand, we clamp down on housing through excessive energy codes, but we give a handout to commercial space, free, exempt, doesn't matter, right? Difficult concept to swallow. I do like the concept of the special permit for residential use only. I don't think we're going to get a ton of applications for it, but I do think it makes sense. And I think it'd be important to note how many potential housing units we would be foregoing in those spaces. It's more than one, I can tell you that. But, I like Main Street the way it is, right? I like first floor commercial. I think as you get further down towards the area we're talking about, it starts to wane. And I think the special permit provision is important. I think also, as we talk about concerns of parking and trip traffic and all this sort of stuff, the highest trip generators are commercial spaces. But overall, I would be in support with a recommendation that a special permit be allowed for housing in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Tim?
I echo my fellow board members' comments that I think this makes a lot of sense. And, even though we're only talking about this kind of 2-block area, I think of a beautiful housing project that was built of a historic restoration of 255 Main Street, Hyannis. I think we all know that project, that was developed, built, planned well before any of this form-based code and everything. It was a beautiful restoration of a historic structure that provided great use and great housing supply through that project in that singer right in this district. It's right before Pleasant Street. So, for a project like that could come to light. So I think the special permit provision is good.
I agree, and I would just do it for the 2 new blocks. So it seems like that's the general consensus. So I would say we go for a motion. Jim, comments?
Just real quick, I do want to add, so before you this evening, you have 4 specific zoning articles before you where the town council has forwarded it to you for a recommendation of do you recommend or do you not recommend. So in your recommendation, I would think about strategically how you want to phrase that back to the council. So if you are going down a route that you want to modify what is before you, it is either a recommendation, I recommend this article, and in addition, I recommend that you consider, for instance, special permit for residential uses before the planning board, either the whole thing or the 2 blocks, whatever it might be. Or that you're not recommending this, and here's the reason why, and because you would consider a special permit. It's just at the bones of what is going to the town council is a recommendation or to not recommend. So it's important how you phrase it, and it also has some legal ramifications also of how you phrase it. So a recommendation to the council with some asterisks about things you want them to consider is certainly allowable, but to not recommend, and then let's just say it moves forward and it failed at town council, that has a 2-year waiting period for it to come back within the 4 corners of the general request here. So
just jump with one quick question, Jim. If it goes from the planning board to the town council with a non-recommendation, does that make it a 2/3 at town council, or does that stay 50/50?
So it's going to be 2/3 no matter what.
Yeah, because it's a general
zoning.
zoning amendment, so it's 2/3 no matter what.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
So we've got to be careful to not say we recommend with all these changes and get away really from what they're asking us to recommend. That would be a not recommend, yeah.
Exactly right.
All right, so,
Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
can we not, we recommend this article with the caveat that the special permit process for either the 2 blocks or the whole district, whatever we decide on, be included
I would find that to be an appropriate motion, because it is recommending what's been asked with a caveat, so,
Yeah, I'm just sort of wordsmithing what you just said, Jim.
yeah.
Yes, I would say that's fine, but what the takeaway would be, what the town council would then be receiving is, the planning board has recommended this. And then there are some finer details that you're giving guidance to the town council, but ultimately, if it's phrased in that way, you're recommending this article.
Yes.
So
We would
just-
recommend
yeah.
with the, whatever the caveat, the additional recommendation, that, or something like that.
Right.
So I think procedurally what we want to do is decide if we want to amend this. And the amendment would be that, a special permit provision shall be allowed for residential use. So I would make a motion that we amend this to allow a special permit for residential use in this district.
I would second that but I'd like to just, as the discussion, does it specifically, Matt, does it have to be residential use as opposed to perhaps something else?
I would limit it to residential.
I would limit it specifically to residential.
Residential?
Yep, sure.
Is that the feeling?
I mean, between commercial and residential, what else do you have, hospitality,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me ask a question
Or
to
like professional,
staff.
or, I don't know.
Jim, are we able to amend?
I think Jim's saying we can't amend.
I don't know if we are.
No, so ultimately, I mean, what you could send back to the town council is a different zoning article, I guess, back to them, but that would really be not recommend, you would be not recommending as submitted, and we have some instructional notes for you. Otherwise, again, it would be, we do recommend, and again, because you are advisory, so this is a recommendation back to the town council. So they provided you with something. If it's generally, if this board generally finds it acceptable and you're looking to recommend it, it would be a motion to recommend. But if you have finer details like that special permit, and you feel strongly that you wouldn't recommend if it didn't have that special permit in there, then it would be to not recommend.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, understood.
So I'm sorry, I'll withdraw my motion to amend.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that. No, I understand what you're saying, Jim. I mean, yeah, thank you.
Second,
Thank you. If we had, huge conviction that we, wouldn't want to see it in place without the special permit provision, we would want to have a not recommend to make that have a little bit more behind it. So personally, for me, I'm okay in this instance with recommending this one with that caveat that we would like to see it with a special permit provision.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to move to continue the zoning amendment TC item.
Wait, do you want to continue it?
Do I want to continue it?
I think we're ready to vote on it.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, I'm sorry.
you're
Wrong
talking-
motion.
No,
Wrong
yeah.
motion, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't wanna
Mary is
Yeah.
starting
Well,
over.
a second motion, sorry,
Okay.
corrected motion.
Yep.
I move to recommend the zoning amendment, TC item number 2026-007, as presented to the town council.
I'll second.
Okay, let's go for it. All those in, yeah.
Just so that we are dropping the special
So,
permit.
Correct.
yeah, that's as,
That's what Mary has moved.
moved and seconded as written. So as it is here, yep.
I think that is a straightforward way to tackle it.
And just dump the special exemption? I thought we all just agreed that it was a good idea.
Well, we didn't all.
Yeah, I know.
All but you.
Now, procedurally, Jim, we could have, if Mary's motion fails, could another motion be made?
Yes. So you ultimately want to get to a decision rendered. You're an advisory board again, so you're looking to get a recommendation of some kind back to the council.
Understood.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, I would suggest, with all due respect to Mary, and I'll probably regret it.
Yeah, because Mary needs a second.
I want to.
Oh, do we have a second?
I think we,
Okay.
I think
All right.
you have a
Then
motion
we've
and
got to
second.
vote on this.
So now we got to vote.
Yeah, okay.
And that I would suggest.
I seconded it, yes, correct.
Yeah, Matt seconded
That
it.
we not, that we vote this down and then we offer a second motion.
New motion.
With the caveat for the special permit.
Understood. I agree with that path
My
forward.
suggestion.
So
Yeah.
I think we got to vote.
Yes,
Yep.
as
So we'll go for our vote now, all right? So Ray had just said that if this vote does not go through, he's going to make a new motion that will include the special permit, and we'll vote on that. All right, so your vote on Mary's motion, Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
nay.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Nay.
I'm a nay.
That put us 3-3?
3-3,
The hell
yeah.
happens then?
It's unexpected.
Oh, come on.
Now, can we get a new motion on, yeah, so Ray, you can
Well,
still.
actually, yeah, if it's a tie, motion fails.
Yeah,
So now we can make a new motion, yeah.
yep.
I thought the tie goes to the runner.
I don't know what to say to that one. All right, Ray.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend zoning amendment TC item number 2026-007 with the caveat that a special exemption process.
Special permit.
Special permit process be included in that zoning amendment
For the length of Main Street?
for the length of Main Street,
Understood. And that special permit would come to what board?
this board.
Thank you. Jim?
Special permit for what? For
Thank you.
what
Oh,
use?
for residential use
On the first floor.
on the first floor.
Okay,
On
only.
Tuesdays.
Any questions on the motion? Okay,
I do. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was referenced the length of Main Street. Are we referring to truly the length of Main Street, or as written here? So this is Pleasant to C.
thank you. Yeah, so that would be, it would either be C Street to Pleasant Street, or it would be Ocean Street to Pleasant Street.
Correct.
And I think the recommendation from Ray is C Street to Pleasant Street. Okay, C Street to Pleasant Street. That is the motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. Okay. Any additional discussion before we vote?
I was going to say, I don't know about all Main Street. I was more the Ocean Street to Pleasant Street, but
Okay, okay.
You can offer the
We
next
can
one.
see where this one goes and, yeah.
Just to be clear, Mr. Sexton's motion was for the entirety of Main Street, and I just want to be...
C to Pleasant, C Street to Pleasant
C
Street.
Street to Pleasant Street, thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you for that, yep.
Okay.
All right, moved and seconded. We'll go to a vote. Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Nay.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Nay.
Tim?
nay.
And I vote nay. Okay, that motion does not pass. Tim, would you like to make a motion?
Can I make a new motion?
You can, but I think Tim's next up.
I was just going to
if you
Let's have a
repeat my
discussion.
first
What-
motion. I was just going to repeat my first.
Well, I will say, what we haven't considered is what Tim mentioned, which is allowing for special permit from Ocean Street to Pleasant Street. I think we have the votes for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go for that, Tim.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to recommend zoning amendment TC item number 2026-007, amended with a special permit provision for residential use on the ground floor.
And that is from Ocean.
Oh, sorry, from Ocean Street to Pleasant Street.
Excellent.
Second?
Okay, staff, any items on this? Okay, go to a vote. Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Nay.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The motion passes. Thank you. Well done. Okay. All right, moving
Apologies
along.
to Karen to have to figure out all the minutes and then.
Get the score.
All right. So the second one zoning amendment we're going to talk about this evening is, I believe it's
2026003.
3. Mary, you want to read in 003?
Sure. This is for Town Council item number 2026-003. It's a proposal to amend the Code of the Town of Barnstable, Part 1, General Ordinance, Chapter 240, Zoning Article Number 3, District Regulations, Section 240.24.1.5, Standards for the district to modify the required parking for residential or artist living/work, and establish a parking space dimensional standard.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mary. This is an open public hearing. This was opened on 9/22. Again, we've received some correspondence that the board is in receipt of, and the staff report that was created by town staff on October 23rd speaks to this item a bit. I also wanted to note that Tim sent in to staff some good questions about this and items for this discussion. So we'll kick this off. Jim, would you like to start on this one by going through your staff report?
Absolutely. So 2 parts here. So first, just a reminder as you're going through this, there's a couple different parts to the parking discussion. First is under the general requirements for parking. I'll just kind of read 2A as it's proposed here. 2A, accessory parking must be provided as specified in Table 2. Table 2 is the total number of required parking, and it's calculated as the sum of all required spaces, including any adjusted specified for on-site shared parking. And now it's extending to say, but excluding accessible parking spaces required by the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board regulations, F521 CMR 21.00, which means that as you're calculating the total required parking, the accessible spaces are in addition to. So it's not just total spaces, it's total spaces plus the required accessible parking. As you continue on to A2, also adds some dimensional requirements. So parking space dimensions shall be a minimum of 9 feet by 18 feet, and drive aisles between spaces shall be a minimum of 20 feet. This is in relation to, you did receive a staff report that talks to that, and I'll get to that in just a moment. And then Section B, there is currently relief from parking requirements of Table 2, and the parking standards found in subsection C2A2 requires a special permit. And in that table, Table 2, the reference here is right now the required parking in residential is 1 per unit. What's reflected in the table right now is 1.5. As I noted last time, and I'll note again, what's recommended in the original recommendations from the subcommittee talked about 1.5 to 2 parking spaces, but you can't put a range when proposing changes. In the staff report, you do have a number of responses to questions that the board had offered. And specifically when we're talking about parking, you'll see on page 2 at the bottom, it starts to talk about responding to those questions regarding parking. Again, we talk about the typical parking sizes. Typical parking sizes do vary throughout our town. Some developments exclusively utilize spaces that are in this definition, 9 by 18. That's kind of a common size that we see. Others do allow for some compact spaces as well. That's also in our regulations in other areas of town, allowing for a variety. The aisle widths, 20 feet is the standard that you'll see in new developments, as well as just kind of the standard in general terms, kind of essentially 2 10-foot lanes. That's kind of the smaller lane so that you're driving at a slower pace, and that's what's recommended typically. See other parking aspects. Again, I touched on compact spaces. And has legal reviewed the section with respect to ADA? And yes, legal has reviewed all of these. However, I will say, this ADA isn't a standard locally; it's a state standard. So I think that touches everything as it relates to parking. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, great job, Jim. Appreciate that summary. as well as the staff report that answered a lot of the questions, discussion that came up. Do we have any questions for Jim before we go to public comment? Okay, again, public hearing's open, so let's go to public comment. Members of the public want to speak to this parking zoning amendment proposed? Please come forward. Welcome.
You know, I don't want to be insulting, but I am just horrified what's happening to Hyannis. And I think that part of why it's happening is what's going on with planning. And I'm disappointed to see that I don't think you have the same vision as the residents have. And I think you need to stop and pause with destroying. I worked at CCB&T. That building should have been the new cultural center combination library. That would have been perfect location, not housing on Main Street. And now you're going down the housing road on Main Street, and I don't understand it. I'm unhappy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Any additional public comment on this specific item? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Stu Robichaud, votes aye. Public hearing is closed. We'll go to some discussion, deliberation on this item. It was great to hear this evening about public transport. I know public transport is an important part of this discussion. As I mentioned at the end of our last meeting, I have always been a supporter of the form-based code. I have, my own opinions where I think it has been a success. And, I'm not going to be voting on anything that I think will stop that progress and success. With that being said, and as I've said in the past on the record, I do think that adjustments and compromises and tweaks are very valuable and very appreciative of all the work that Mr. Schulte and his group has done. And this is one of those areas that I would look to compromise. I mean, personally, my personal opinion is that, if a renter is looking to rent an apartment building and they need a space for 2 cars, they're not going to apply for a unit that only has space for 1. I think that that's just a reality of a downtown area. And, I think that the 1 space per unit was appropriate for this specific area. However, again, I do see this as an opportunity for valuable compromise, and I think that's what we should consider. For me, the number is 1.25. I think that's a good number. What I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see it to go to a point where it's no longer economically feasible to develop properties, because we've been there before, and we were stuck there for a long time, and we're now coming out of that. We're seeing a lot of these vacant, underutilized eyesores being transformed. So that's where I'm at. Michael, what are your thoughts?
No, I strongly agree with you. In my opinion, I think we should have 2 parking spaces per unit.
Not 2 per. Go up to 2.
Yep.
Okay. Mary?
I'm with Michael on this because I feel like at this point, I do think people are going to leave when they can't park. And I thought it was really helpful to hear what the RTA had to say about, initially when we were talking about this a month ago, I was thinking, okay, so is there public transportation? You can probably walk there or you can use the bus if you are working locally. But if you're not, if you are working for, as a home health care and you have to go to somebody's home to work, you're not going to use the bus system, clearly, or the RTA, which I think they have a great program so far, but it's not going to be enough for them. And in this day and age, I don't know anybody who are a couple that aren't both working, and both need some sort of transportation to their other jobs. So I would also agree with Michael on the 2.
Roger that. Thank you. Ray?
So when we say 2,
Well, currently it's 1 parking space per unit for the downtown Hyannis area.
Yes.
The zoning ad hoc committee recommendation came through in writing as, I believe, 1.5 to 2. okay? So they've asked us to review that and make a recommendation to town council. I get worried about what's going to happen with housing generation if, the higher parking requirement reduces the size of the building.
Right.
So I worry about doing that too far to a degree to then slow growth and housing generation.
That's what I'm
That's
thinking
my
about.
concern, yeah.
And I actually, looking at Matt, he's my mentor on this. But it seems to me that, yes, the higher the number, the smaller the fewer the units, and then the less economic viability of the project itself. And I understand there's a concern about density, but there's also should be a corresponding concern about vacant lots. Because if it doesn't get developed, then we'll have a continuation of boarded up places and things like that. So I think that it's important to be able to balance those two concerns and hopefully come out on the other side. So in that case, I would tend to lean towards what you were suggesting with 1.25, but I'm interested to see what you have to say, Matt.
All right, Matt. Thank you, Ray.
I don't think 2 spaces per dwelling unit is unreasonable, and I think it makes the units infinitely more marketable, and I think in the long term, it's probably a smart move and reduces some other concerns that some of the citizenry here might have. So I would be in favor as written.
Tim?
I also think 2 spaces per unit seem reasonable. But again, parking is something that is tough to find a one-size-fits-all approach. And apparently giving special permit provisions make us all corrupt. So, but the problem is, so what do you do with studio apartments? What do you do with affordable housing projects? What do you do with projects like the Champ House that just came in front of us over in School Street, where they could just barely squeak in and meet the existing parking requirements, but then they also said, well, none of our residents really have cars. It's more for our staff, but we can just barely meet that. So on a market rate, if it's a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, maybe even a 3-bedroom, I think, 2 spaces per unit seems reasonable. But, the things that kind of fall outside of that, and how do we handle that? We don't want it to be a non-starter for, workforce housing, studios or, 1-bedrooms. I'm thinking about some of the stuff that's kind of filling in. I'm thinking of some of those duplexes that were just built behind the old, or I guess the building department's still there, 200 Main Street, stuff up Willow Street there, and some stuff around that. They're just kind of making it at the 1 1/4. So, again, I don't know if we want to have the whole special permit conversation again, but is there a way to not have nip some potential projects in the bud that we want to see, especially if it's for affordable housing or for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I think in a downtown area, it's more difficult to find that parking. And I think dropping it down, increasing it to 2 for this area, that would, I think, make it difficult to generate housing and affordable housing. So I kind of agree with Tim. The special permit is there. I mean, obviously, applicants are permitted to seek relief for parking through the special permit process. I just feel 2 is a stretch. And, would either of you consider, would any of you consider, possibly something in between 1 and 2?
Just a clarification on that. I know people that are couples that live in studios that are both working that need cars. So, and also in 1-bedrooms, right? You've got a couple that are starting out and they're in a 1-bedroom. So that portion, I kind of say, still needs the 2 cars. I'm not sure, Tim, what was your other examples of?
So some of the examples, sure, you can have a couple that's living in a studio and they both work and they both have cars.
Yeah.
Or you can have a couple working in a studio, living in a
1-bedroom or 2,
or 1-bedroom.
Or a studio, right?
And they could not have cars.
Correct.
Or they could have 1 car.
Yeah.
Or they can, for instance, I know a property owner who's developed some stuff and actually submitted some public comment here in one of the letters, who has, duplexes or, one bedrooms and studios, around in this area, and the parking lot's half empty, because the residents are, they're working on Nantucket, they're taking the ferry, they're this or that, the parking is not a need. Particularly with affordable housing, things that are, it's 20 to 50 to 100%, affordable projects. They may not have the same parking needs as a large market rate development that's on South Street here. That's where there are going to be lots of cars and visitor parking. So it's tough to say that it's always 2 spaces per unit, because sometimes it's not going to be enough. Sometimes that's way too much and makes the project unfeasible to begin with.
I always hate to try to put my mind into, who might be renting this, because I don't have that life experience to do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that there are people that would absolutely go for a situation that just had 1 parking spot, and if that didn't fit their family's needs, they wouldn't apply.
Right.
So, I do feel like 2 would kind of shut things down in terms of development, and I worry about that, because that's going to stop development of housing and affordable housing. So before we go to a vote, I'm just seeing if there's any room for discussion and compromise, and if we can land somewhere in between, would you guys consider 1.5? Just wanted to put that out there.
I would just also, just from my personal experience, when I did live in an apartment where there was, it was in Arlington, it was a 2-bedroom apartment, there was 1 parking space, right? But there were other units that had 2 parking spaces but didn't use them. And so you could rent one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that was kind of part of the program. So as an example, maybe if there's an apartment that has 3 bedrooms and there's still only 2 parking spaces, but maybe the studio is only using 1 of their 2, that's how it gets used. That's my personal experience.
Yeah, that makes sense. And to me, that's why something in the middle, like a 1.5, might work. Because again, then they can, divvy those up according to the occupants.
Yeah.
So
you started at 1.25 and now you're at 1.5?
Well, I'm trying to see if there's willingness.
I'm going to try and get them up to 2.
I won't vote for 2, that's for sure.
And then Matt, I think, was sort of as written, but I think as written is what?
Well, that's
It's minimum
proposed is
1.5, minimum 1.5, and no more than a maximum of 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and, developers are going to go for that minimum. I mean, we don't really need to state a maximum, I don't think, but.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, the biggest, thing here is the spaces per unit. The other thing is, is there any discussion that the board wants to have on the size of the units or the drive aisle widths or anything like that?
Well, I did want to just state that I'm very pleased with what staff has come up with. I think we've had some applicants to us where there's been a little bit of confusion about that. So outlining those, I think, is critical, and I agree with all of the dimensional standards that staff has put forward.
I will put my 2 cents in on the dimensional standards. Understand, under the current stretch energy code, that there will be car chargers in every parking lot, 1 per unit, mandated by the state. It's going to look awesome. So I wouldn't make them much smaller, because you're going to need room for those big-ass chargers. Thank you.
Yep, valid point.
They're
valid
not that
point.
big.
Now, Jim, just a quick question. Isn't it true that the dimensional standards and the ADA compliance will, in fact, reduce the number of, how can I phrase this? 307 Main Street took advantage of a lot of compact spaces. Under these dimensional standards, if everything else was the same, there would be less units at 307 Main Street because of the dimensional standards. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, potentially. Any development that's, if there isn't additional space and they wanted to, and they were filling that with parking spaces, yeah. I mean, if you're putting bigger parking spaces, then that would mean that in correlation, there would be, if you couldn't fit as many parking spaces, in correlation, you wouldn't be able to fit as many units.
Sure. I mean, I personally saw the use of compact spaces as kind of a loophole that developers could use. And I think that maybe that was used, there was a lot of compact spaces that were used at 307 Main. So just putting in these updated dimensional standards
Agreed.
helps
Yeah.
the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, what's the old saying? If you can park them, you can build them, or something like that.
there you go.
So, I mean, when I saw this, I think, staff had put together some benchmarks of recently applied projects under the form-based code, and yeah, one of them was 50% of the required spaces were being compact size. Other ones
yeah.
met all these requirements anyway. So I think putting it in, also hearing that a lot of the projects that have been applied for are utilizing these sizing and all these guidelines anyway. So it tells us that it's kind of fitting what the market is, providing anyway. So yeah, I mean, I'm good with all the, dimensional type of stuff.
Okay. Well said. Any additional questions, comments? Well, if the board is okay with it, I'm going to go for a motion at 1.5, and if it fails, then we can have another motion. So I move to recommend zoning amendment, Town Council item number 2026-003 with 1.5 parking spaces. Jim?
So 1.5 is as written.
Oh, is that as written?
But also.
Because it's a range, right? It was.
Well, as written is 1.5. There are recommendations for up to 2, so you can certainly make that, and it's still within the 4 corners if you wanted to. The only reason I bring as written is because I'm assuming, based on the discussion, the board also wants to include all the other provisions that were stated in the parking amendment. So the drive aisles, the parking sizes, the ADA formulation. So as written would capture all that. If you wanted to make something else, it would be as written with the revision to whatever that might be.
Understood. No, at this point, I think very pleased with all of those dimensional standards. So again, my motion is to recommend I move to recommend zoning amendment Town Council item number 2026-003 as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
Was that Ray?
That was right.
Thank you, Ray. All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Does his motion need to say the comments that you had included in the staff report? Is that what you were saying? With all the parking dimensions?
No,
that's in there.
That's as written. So in the hearing notice, it refers to not just the total number of parking spaces that may be increased, but the parking sizes, the ADA requirement, and the drive aisle size. That's all within that hearing notice suggestion. Amendment.
And the amendment or the recommendation is 1.5 to 2?
Well, so the original recommendation is a range. Now, mind you, again, in the hearing notice and in a proposed amendment that went to council, that the council moved forward, you can't put a range. You can't suggest a range because it's ultimately when it's adopted, that's what's written in the zoning ordinance.
Right.
So it's 1.5. I want to be abundantly clear. The recommendation was for the consideration of 1.5 to 2. So you could certainly, if you're not in agreement with 1.5, you could certainly suggest something else.
So Steve's motion is 1.5, correct?
Steve's motion,
So his motion-
made and
It's
seconded.
1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
Right, because that's
with one-
specifically what's written.
Yep, with one vote.
That's why I'm waiting.
Yes. So just so it gets us back to where we
And
were.
a vote no.
And a vote
Okay.
no.
All right, understood. Okay.
Right.
Ray?
It's 1.5, right?
Yes, sir.
1.5.
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Matter passes. Okay. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. Next one is 2026-006. Ray, would you read this one in?
All right. This is TC item number 2026-005, correct?
No.
Oh, I'm one behind. I'm sorry. This is TC item number 2026-006. Proposal to amend the code of the Town of Barnstable, Part 1, General Ordinances, Chapter 240, zoning to repeal the downtown village district and amend the zoning map to replace the downtown village district with downtown neighborhood zoning district. This is an open public hearing.
Great, thank you very much, Ray. Again, as mentioned, this public hearing was opened on September 22nd. So if we could pull up the, we should all take a look at the first page of the staff report because that's got a good map on it. Jim, could you give us an outline of this item here?
Absolutely, just a second. So the discussion here, it's kind of it's a very detailed discussion. So we're talking about, and the ad hoc committee, we did take quite a while to really nail down the details here. So the downtown village district is essentially the zoning district that surrounds the downtown Main Street district. So the downtown Main Street district is what you would, it sounds like, right along Main Street, but also around Barnstable Road. So there's kind of two spines that go through, and that's our Main Street area, or downtown, according to the zoning. And then that next layer is downtown village. Downtown village has many of the same dimensional requirements as downtown Main Street. So 4 stories in height, or 3.5 to 4 stories in height. Limited setbacks, though downtown village has a little bit more of a setback. It was the one parking space per unit, just like the downtown Main Street. And so that surrounds the downtown Main Street area. If you want to pull up the zoning exhibit on our planning board website.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll just pull up we have an exhibit, I think that would be good. Also in your staff report package, I believe it might be the very last page. The very last page in your staff report package shows what the zoning district could look like if we then transition from downtown village to downtown neighborhood. So again, downtown village, if you were to look at the two districts of downtown village and downtown neighborhood, the difference here is really heights, densities, setbacks. So the discussion that was had, and hopefully there is some public comment that would further this discussion, but the discussion that was had was about transitioning from Main Street to the outskirts of downtown. And so with a downtown village district, which is what it is today, again, 4 stories, there is 50% impervious coverage. So that's kind of the limitation in terms of the built environment on the property. So 4 stories, 1 parking space per unit, though if other changes go through, that does increase as well. And then minimal side setbacks. Downtown neighborhood is quite a bit different. So downtown neighborhood, we're now talking about 2.5 stories to 3. 3 if you utilize attic spaces habitable. So up to essentially 3 stories of gable. Up to 4 units. It does say with an ADU. This does predate the state law that lets you do an ADU anyways. So we're talking 4 units as opposed to the downtown village again, where density is driven by the number of parking spaces you have. So now we're talking slightly smaller, slightly less density, and also increased setbacks. So I just wanted to pull up the setbacks here. Setbacks, primary front setback 10 minimum, 20 maximum. Side setbacks 10 feet, rear setback 20 feet. So this is meant to be kind of a downgraded zoning district. And it currently exists. It currently exists in a couple different areas, and that is along School Street area and also along the South Street area at this time. This would expand that downtown neighborhood to also incorporate essentially the North Street area down to the HYCC, down to West End Rotary, and also on the east end, so basically bookending it. So on the east end, generally just outside of the hospital area, where you've seen some redevelopments on Main Street, I would say, and down like Yarmouth Road, Crocker Street, et cetera. So I know that's a lot, and happy to answer any questions.
The map on page 1, go ahead.
The color-coded one's way
Yeah, there we
easier.
go. Yeah.
Than like this, you know?
Yeah, this is the chunk that's missing, so I want to ask him about that.
Yeah, it's not just this, it's that.
Are you pulling up the colored map?
Yeah. So
Nice.
the color-coded one's way easier.
Yeah, so just,
He's pulling it up now for you guys. Go ahead.
yeah, that's excellent. Will it appear on these?
It will.
Okay, great. So what Kyle's pulling up is the overall downtown Hyannis zoning map. And one thing to note is the diagram, the map on page 1 of our staff report from October 23rd, kind of the right side's cut off because there is more DV along that right side. So this will be good to see. Look at the big picture.
Oh, I'm sorry. You look at the original staff report?
Oh, does that have the full map? Oh, nice.
No.
Wait a minute.
Oh, the one
what
from
is
the
that?
last one? Yeah.
But nevertheless, we'll pull it up.
Cool.
I don't think I have that. I don't think I have that.
So
Oh, it's on my kitchen table.
essentially, this proposed zoning amendment would be to eliminate the downtown village district and replace it with downtown neighborhood.
That's, yes, generally speaking, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And just a little bit more, so it's basically extending the restrictions of the neighborhood district to the village district.
Correct. So you're now kind of downgrading in terms of density and built environment
Okay.
from DV to DN.
And actually, while we're waiting for him to pull up, should we talk about it a little bit? Because it's going to take him a couple minutes.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, can you just go over real quick the overall summary of DN? I believe it's just, single family and duplexes.
Yeah, so limitations, use provisions. So in the DN, there are some other uses that are allowed. I mean, office, healthcare clinics are allowed. 2-unit dwellings are prohibited in a very specific area, that Kingsway area, which you might be familiar with, kind of back off of, back in the neighborhood, closer to 28. And then multi-unit dwellings are permitted with a maximum of 4 dwelling units permitted in any one building per lot. In addition, 1 accessory dwelling unit may be permitted per lot. So that's the gist of the uses allowed. And then again, as I mentioned, lot coverage 50%, and then setbacks to 10s and 20s. Maximum of up to 3 stories, but that's in the attic space for 3, so 2.5 to 3. So that's your parameters that you're working with in downtown neighborhood.
And is it true that the DV has the same or very similar zoning to DMS?
That's correct. So DV does have some slightly, or does increase the decrease the impervious surface allowed, so less of the built environment on a lot, just like DN, has slightly greater setbacks than the DMS, but not to the extent of DN. And then by and large, the rest is the same as DMS. So heights are the same, parking standards are the same.
Understood. Okay. Okay, why don't we go to public comment? Mr. Schulte.
Thank you, Bob Schulte. I just reiterate some of the comments I made last time on this item. The committee heard extensive concerns and complaints about the extension of the downtown Main Street zoning into what is formerly really largely residential areas. As Jim said, we talked at length about this, went back and forth. The concerns were, you've increased the building heights, you've cut back the setbacks, you're basically extending essentially all of downtown Main Street into residential areas that border that. We had lots of discussions with the public. People were concerned that, there's really no transition in building heights or density. And I'd like to say, I think, Jim, you agreed with us on that. It really extends the commercial district into our residential neighborhood. So the thought was under this zoning, we'd bring it back to the neighborhood village, Main Street neighborhood districts rather than the village. To replace that so we can transition back down through those neighborhoods out of the Main Street area to what's then fully residential beyond that. So I think that was essentially it. So, again, probably one of the topics that was most discussed and where we got feedback from the citizens. So hope you'll consider it as recommended. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any additional public comment?
I'm somewhat of a newbie to some of you. I know Ray for quite a while, and I know Tim now, and who else do I know? Anyway, I'll get to know you later. I'm Larry Morin from Catuit. Jim, you're smiling. My concern, first of all, I'm supporting Bob Schulte in his efforts, and I did through all the different meetings that he had. The thing that I'm a little troubled by generally is how complex you make it by saying, switching the names around. I don't think you did it. It was what the committee struggled with. I think you now have a position of deciding, am I going to live with these new definitions and descriptions? The other part is really trying to decide which one is better. The way this is worded, it talks about getting rid of village and replacing it with neighborhood. That's maybe simplistic, but I think that in the end, your decision should be based upon, is this an improvement for the overall development and maintenance of downtown Hyannis? That to me would be a criteria that is not written anywhere, but it's something that you may want to think about. Otherwise, I think the housing issue and the construction of downtown is huge. And those of you that have vested in it more than I have, I commend you for it. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Any additional public comment?
I think they're still trying to get the map.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close public hearing.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ray. All those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Public hearing is closed. So we're getting the map up, and for me, I don't really think of North Street as a neighborhood. I feel there should be a transition between downtown Main Street and the neighborhood areas north and west of Stevens Street. I think having that DV is appropriate. However, I think it does make sense to kind of de-zone it, back the zoning down a little bit, adjust the density, and I think there are ways to do that. However, just off the bat, I just don't like just completely eliminating DV and turning it into DN. I think that area does serve a purpose when you look at North Street and south of Stevens Street. There's a lot of commercial property there, so it just doesn't have a neighborhood feel to me. And I understand why DV's there. I just think that a nice, again, compromise might be to try to find something in the middle of DN and DMS, because DV, again, is very similar to DMS. The zoning is only slightly different. So I think, looking to just take DV and reducing the zoning a little bit, maybe increasing the setbacks, maybe looking at a little bit of a different lot coverage, a little bit of a different maximum units allowed, parking spaces. I think those are that would be more of the conversation I'd love to have, but want to hear what others think. Michael, initial questions, comments, concerns?
No comments. Thanks.
Okay. Mary?
I understand what the ad hoc committee was trying to do, just trying to simplify things, right? And I think it's very logical to have a transition from one area to another. And I understand the easiest way to do that was to create this new or updated naming convention. But I'm with you, Steve, on this. I think there needs, I don't know if this is it, I guess. It would be good to be able to have a little bit more graduated requirements outside of, what are we calling that, the village district?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The RB, yeah.
Yep. So those are my
Does that
comments.
mean the people that live there would be the village people?
Only at your house.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Mary. That was great. Ray, your thoughts,
Mr. Chairman.
other than that last thought?
So we, as proposed, we're taking 3 categories and collapsing it to 2.
Well,
We're
there
gonna-
are many others.
Solid colors,
I mean,
Yeah.
The
as
main ones,
proposed,
yeah.
there's, right now, there's 3. As proposed, there'll be 2. So that's, and as such, as I am tracking with you in terms of the transitional nature of things, I do think, and this is where I think, and I'm looking at you because this might be, rather than, I don't know, I'm throwing metaphors around here all over the place, but rather than throwing the baby out with the bathwater, can we tweak DV, I think as Steve was alluding to, because this is a living document, and rather than just pull the plug, take some of the ideas, I think the intentions are there, and perhaps we extract some of the notions that your committee has come up with, and then alter the DV to make that transition a little bit less bumpy, I guess.
It's a good way to put it. Yep. Mary?
I just have a question for you, Steve.
Sure.
Is it the naming convention that's the issue when you talk about that it's not, North Street's not a neighborhood area?
Well, the proposal to get rid of the DV zone would change the DV zone to the downtown neighborhood zone. And I believe that the downtown village zoning is more appropriate for that North Street area.
Okay.
But I think we should consider reducing it. You know, we should consider finding some sort of middle ground there.
Okay.
And one avenue we could look at is, rather than, you know, if we're all interested in this, rather than trying to stumble through a motion, we could offer to continue this item and assign some homework to staff to say, you've heard our comments, now find what this could look like. We could just call it the kind of DV 2.0 with a little bit of a different feel to it, with a little bit more, you know, increased setbacks and, you know, certain things like that.
Mr. Chairman, that's why you're the chairman. You just read
I'm in
my
favor.
mind.
Okay,
That was
okay, all
Exactly
right.
what I was going to propose.
Okay, I love it.
They don't have enough work on unraveling the meeting minutes that we're giving them tonight, so.
Yeah, right. Matt, your thoughts?
The only concern I have in designating this a neighborhood is that, you know, the area along North Street is so currently full of what would then be considered pre-existing non-conforming uses that I think that the downtown village concept was an incentive to provide enough density that some of those existing businesses that maybe should be somewhere else would have an incentive to do so, and you could create some housing. Right, and I do agree that you've got to get some sort of transition from Main Street, right, out to those neighborhoods, because they do start very abruptly, you know, just beyond North Street, you know, heading north. I mean, I think this is a valiant effort, and I think I get the intent of it. I don't think it's going to change anything. It's just going to stop taller buildings from being there, and the guys are still going to have car dealerships, and you're still going to have office buildings. Like, none of that's going to change. I just think I wish we could incentivize something better, right? So to create that transitional area to move into the real, what is really truly a single-family neighborhoods beyond that, it's just going to be stuck with, you know, Burger King. That's what you got. You're gonna, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
so I get the outrage, you know, people are like, oh, 7-Eleven's getting taller. Well, I don't think it was contributing a whole lot to society besides scratchies and cigarettes.
It's true.
Right? So, I'm with you. I think maybe a little tweak of that. And I get the desire to not have the intensity you're seeing on Main Street. I totally understand it. It would be nice to have it follow a nice, easy slope instead of an abrupt one as we move into the neighborhood space.
Sure.
Right? So I wouldn't mind leaving that open and take a look at that. Definitely more towards the side of the residential neighborhood incentive, but you got to give enough to force that neighborhood into a change that it becomes what we want it to be, right? Because I think by going to the neighborhood district, there's not an incentive for anybody to move at that point. You know what I mean? The commercial guys aren't going to vacate because the density is not high enough, right? There's not an incentive to sell it. It's too expensive for somebody to come in and buy an existing commercial property and put 3 single-family residential houses up. So I think what's going to happen is it's just going to stay what it is. Nothing's going to change. So if we're cool with that, then let's vote this as it's presented, right? If we want to make it a little better, I think we could take another bite at the apple with it.
Yeah, well said. Appreciate that. Let's have Tim comment first. Then.
Yeah, so the problem with sitting on this side of the chairman is by the time we get to me,
No, I forgot
all of the good
about-
stuff is
yeah.
all set and everything else, because yeah, okay, there you go.
I'm going to start this way next time. Yeah.
You know,
So just say ditto.
ditto. No, I mean, my first crack at this was I understand the intentions, the same intention that we all spoke about, and, as we heard, this was probably one of the kind of tallest chew-through and workload of the ad hoc committee for such good reason. I mean, it's a difficult thing on how to transition from higher density Main Street, everything else, back down to the single family out in the neighborhoods. So totally understand the intention. However, I think the vehicle that was built to get it there needs to be different because it has all these negative impacts that were not the intention of it. And, to Matt's point of if we spend a little bit of time, we can make this better. My initial feedback coming into this meeting, and you can all see the questions I provided with staff and that Jim responded to, was if the primary concern of the DV area so far has just been, okay, height, density, setbacks, lot lines, to lot lines and everything, and just really how impactful that is and that intensity of use back to right up to an existing single-family neighborhood, the better vehicle to do this, to transition down from there, maybe instead of to just do away with the DV, is to take the DV and insert what we like from the DN into it. Those building heights, the setback, everything else, and we can leave the groundwork that is already in the DV for things. And the most impactful part of this is actually that impervious surface or lot coverage thing. Right. Well, building height's impactful to our perception and everything else, and that's what everyone hates. Yeah. So, I think we all want to fix that. The most impactful thing that would stop anything from really happening in this area is that restriction on impervious surface, going down to 50%. Because if you drive up and down North Street right now, everything is lot line to lot line. I mean, think about all the restaurants, the gas, everything. That's all. So all of those become pre-existing non-conforming. And then they're going to be fighting it out at the ZBA for the next 30, 40 years, each one of those, to go get variances, special permits, intensification of use things. It creates, like the intention is here, but this is kind of a bad vehicle of getting there. I think we can work and improve upon it to get what everyone wants to see. And have a good transition in this area. And talk about the building heights, lower the setbacks, everything else. Now, pragmatically, with the way that this has all come to us, and also I don't know if there's usually these zoning amendments come to us from town council. There's like a sponsoring town councilor who we can complain to, and they come back and they tweak some things. But this is not so much the case. So we can either vote it kind of as written, or say we're not recommending it, and here's something else you can have. Or what is our kind of give and take process here? Can we continue it and have a further discussion to work something up on this?
Yeah, I mean, it is technically brought to you by President Craig Tamish. He is the sponsor of the articles I don't know what the give and take. I'm happy to have a conversation with President Tamish and others. However, I think really they're looking for your guidance as the advisory to this. I mean, you certainly could, again, make a recommendation that this isn't the right vehicle, and you're not recommending this at this time, and you're looking to do offer something else. But you certainly could, again, look at I think your statement of let staff take a peek at based on your guys' comments and see if there is some potential recommendations that could be within what was proposed. I think could be a logical next step. Because yes, as of right now, this is really meant to be the council forwarding these recommendations and looking for your guidance. And ultimately they'll take it in. The practical steps here is that you give your recommendation and the council can review it and can consider it, but they don't have to they don't have to abide by any of the recommendations that are provided. It's just an advisory to them.
Yeah, and one thing that we've heard from town council is that if we are a no vote, offer some either recommendations or guidance or things like that. So that's what.
So the path may have to be weirdly to vote no with guidance, and maybe it comes back to us for the kind of recook. But then wouldn't it become a repetitive petition at that point?
So ultimately, if they were to see that through and it be denied at town council and they brought back the very same proposal or something very similar, yes, they would have to wait that, and that's what I was mentioning earlier on. There are other remedies, though, if they so chose to withdraw or something like that, to look at it again. They certainly.
It's something that maybe if we have that discussion here, we could tell town council, why don't you withdraw that motion or that thing to us, and here's something else you can put back.
Well, what I'm thinking is that maybe the straighter line, if you will, or the more effective would be to, because we're talking about, again, making some alterations in I think we're definitely leaning towards, we don't want to completely throw out DV. So perhaps we continue, and in doing so then we task Jim and his staff, and I think, and get with your guys and say, okay, what are the salient points? What are the nuggets that you came up with that should be incorporated into DV and then we'll have an alternative done by expert as opposed to, we're thrashing it out right now here. Let the pros work on it for a little bit.
Yep, and then with our negative recommendation, we would have something as an alternative to offer that town council could then consider. Yep.
Yeah, and then the point that I was trying to make is, if this goes with a negative recommendation to town council and then they have to vote it down, or, because there's that repetitive petition clause, is it 2 years or 6 months or something like that? We don't want to accidentally set this in motion to it gets shot down in a way that it can't be brought up again for 2 years.
Right.
No, we're trying to kind of do the right thing, and no, let's come together and see, okay, we see the intention, how can we get there and the best, vehicle to get it done?
Yeah.
I think what would be better for the town council too is if we could send a positive recommendation with some suggested amendments that address that. And it's not, I think we're very close to something here. You know what I mean? In terms of supporting the council's intent, in terms of supporting Bob's work. I mean, because these guys did a really pretty thorough job of trying to figure out what the thing is here. Again, my concern is we have to make the zoning juicy enough to continue to create that residential neighborhood, right? As we come off the peak of Main Street, we have a nice even transition out there, but it's got to be enough to offset the value of those pre-existing non-conforming properties today. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Tim. That guy who's got that parking lot right up to the lot line, he's going to die there. And then he's going to, he's never leave. If I owned it, I'd never give it up, right? So we've got to give a little more, and then but still put some of those neighborhood provisions in place that don't make it, that can start to transition it back to that residential neighborhood concept. I love it. It's just you see the dichotomy, right? I could put 200 units on a certain property there now, or whatever, if it was big enough. But if I totally take that away, then that guy who's running that parking lot, that's what he's doing. He's never leaving. So there's a little bit of compromise there. I would move that we continue this to a date certain.
Yeah,
I guess
I agree with that.
what would the date certain?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I don't
let's
memorize
let
the
Mr.
calendar.
Schulte speak first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Schulte, the public hearing is closed, but as chair of the ad hoc committee, I
he'd
would
be
like
the
to let you
applicant.
speak. Yep.
Great, thank you, Chair. I just want to say, we got your attention, didn't we? I'm glad that this is being discussed at length. Unfortunately, Mr. Sexton, because that committee has sunsetted, we can't get together. We don't have that ability. I would have to defer to Jim how we work that. Jim and I have worked together on that. I can talk to Jim, whatever. We have to follow the appropriate channels. I'm speaking for myself personally. I appreciate the comment you made, Mr. Teague, and I think the idea of identifying some changes to heights and parking and a few things, we could find a way to skin this cat. I'm not sure how we do that and make sure we do it appropriately, but again, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear you discussing this at length, because just ignoring this issue in the transition, I think, would have been a mistake. So however that gets done, I'm not sure the best way. But I'm happy to do anything I can as a private citizen, working with Jim or whatever, relaying what was discussed. So thank you again. I appreciate you all discussing this.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, well said. I appreciate
Mr. Chair,
that.
we could have Jim draft up what he thinks are,
Well,
are the tweaks,
me-
and then
yeah,
he holds it up, and the chair says, well, is this it?
Yeah, let's do this. So we all just, offer tonight what we would like for staff to work on. Obviously, the public has an opportunity to always speak with staff about their thoughts, and we welcome that. And from that, I think we'll get something that we can really sink our teeth into at our next meeting. Let's talk real quick about our next meeting. Our next meeting has the 2 remaining zoning amendments on it. Do you have any other applications for that meeting at this time?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we have at least 2 more applications before you.
Okay.
Outside of zoning changes.
So
And I think that also has Boatgate on it too, right? That's gonna be a big one.
don't call it that, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
Are you mulling a date right now?
Mulling a date. I think that we have just one meeting in November.
No, you have 2. November 24th also
Okay.
is available at this
So
time.
I would recommend sending it to November 24th, and that will give ample time for some work by staff.
Verify what?
Is your mic on?
Oh, thank you. Can we just verify which we have 2 more left, correct?
Yes.
Zoning amendments?
Yep, the ones in
00.
November 10th are home occupation and commercial vehicle parking.
Yes.
We have one more tonight too.
When we have one more tonight, which is for building height.
Right.
Yep.
So would it be appropriate to move to continue this amendment to November 24th and direct the staff to explore appropriate revisions to it?
Sure, I think that's fine. And again, that would be here at 7 PM on the 24th, and that's town council number 2026-005.
This is Tim, I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Okay, continued November 24th. Yes.
That was 006, yes.
Was that 6?
Yes.
Sorry, that was
006. Yes, correct.
That's right, correct.
Thank you.
Are we good? We don't need to re-motion that or anything? All good?
You all right?
Right, everyone's good? Okay.
Yeah, sure, come on up to the mic. Counselor Bloom.
I don't see a pen here for signing in, but I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for your objectivity and for your analysis of these very complex issues, and the staff too. Everybody's done a great job. I think that I appreciate your willingness to compromise, because the whole document that you got was basically a compromise, you know, I mean, if I had my way, you know, we'd have, you know, two stories on Main Street or something, you know, but we you know, it's a good thing to compromise, and I just think you guys have a very hard job, and I appreciate it, the work that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Nice to hear.
Same to you. Appreciate all your work for the town, Councilor Bloom. Okay, so we have completed three. We have one to go, and I think I might have taken these out of order when we read these. Yeah, that's what happened. That's when I get tripped up at the end. Yeah.
These are on the-
005.
So 005
005, yeah.
That's why Bob called you on
is
the
what
first
is
one.
remaining. Yes. Let's see. Tim, would you read in 005?
Yes. Proposal to amend the Code of the Town of Barnstable, Part 1, General Ordinances, Chapter 240 Zoning, Article 3, District Regulations to modify building height requirements in the downtown Main Street District and downtown Village District. This is already an open public hearing.
Okay, excellent. As mentioned, this public hearing was opened on September 22nd. And again, there's some information in the staff report, which I'm going to have Jim go over. If you look at page 2 of the staff report dated October 23rd, 2025, the second bullet on page 2 talks about building height definitions. Jim, would you review this with us?
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, in your staff report, one sec. Oh, did you steal mine? So, yes, page 2 of the staff report talks about building height definition. I just kind of, the takeaway from this, I would like for the board to just see that it's not just as straight and narrow as your typical zoning where, you know, maximum 50 feet in height, period. There's a lot of nuance, as it is with a lot of this zoning for downtown Hyannis. It starts with stories, so you're looking at definitions of stories, ground stories, what constitutes a story, and then when you exceed a certain height, then it goes to or counts as more than one story. Ultimately, we're talking about, if you're talking about downtown Main Street, we're talking about up to 4 stories. And the first story, depending on the use, if it's commercial, you have slightly higher limitations than that of residential. Given the, you know, the typical use of a higher end commercial space, higher ceiling heights, and in along those lines, residential, as you move to the second, the third, and potentially the fourth story, there's reduced ceiling heights or overall heights of each story, and so you could add those up to get to the ultimate height of any one structure. As well as pitch roofs, there's discussions of, you know, minimum and maximum slopes of pitched roofs. That's the gist of that one. And before you tonight is the reduction of the 3.5 to 4 story to similarly 3 to 3.5. That 3.5 regarding step back, just like as it is in tonight or today for 4 stories, you could step back. Is that any questions there?
Yeah, so essentially right now,
Yeah.
let me see if I have it, you can build a 4-story structure. However, the 4th story must be stepped back from the front facade of the structure. Is that correct? And the proposal is that you can build a 3.5-story building, and
So similarly, it's a 3-story, but if you want a 3.5, it would need to be stepped back and away.
I get it. Okay. Understood.
But it's also confusing because our 4-story existing zoning already has a setback that's in there.
So it's really
kind of goofy.
It's almost like taking out that half a story in there.
Yeah,
I wanna say
I'm
it's a
just
middle
trying
story,
to,
but-
I'm just trying to get a nice summary line of what is our net change? Is our net reduction that stepped back half story that could go on top of a 3.5-story building? Or a
Your net
3-story building?
reduction is really a half a story is what we're really talking about, because it's really, right today is 3.5 to 4.
Right.
As opposed to what is being considered as 3 to 3.5.
So you're
It is a little
losing
confusing.
potentially, yeah, it is definitely confusing.
It is.
I think Matt can probably fill you in. Half-story definitions vary very widely between building codes.
Yeah.
This happens from time to time, and I don't know why. I just throw it down here.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, I don't know how to turn it down.
Yeah. Half-story definitions are all over the place, from architectural standards to building codes to zoning to you go to different towns, I mean, I bet you if you went through the town of Barnstable zoning, every district, this and that, I bet you could find 6 different definitions of what the half-story actually is. So they're notoriously difficult to define and regulate in a normal fashion. And to be perfectly honest, our 4-story in the form-based code, the way they had set that up already kind of makes it look like a half-story because they have these setbacks, but it's kind of like a fake half-story in that, no, you can get almost 80% of your floor area on that 4th story with a setback and everything, so it kind of looks like a half-story. I mean, a traditional definition of a half-story would maybe be 50% of the finished floor on that half-story as what is below. That's, kind of one rule of thumb definition for a half-story. If you read this other section in the zoning that's in the staff report, it defines a half-story as the ceiling joists intersect at a height no more than 2 foot below the wall plate for the lower story. It's a complicated definition that probably shouldn't be in a zoning. That answers it. But so, that's where your roof rafters, you go up into someone's attic and the roof rafters come down. There's a knee wall at the end, but that's...
They add a dormer or something.
Yeah, they bump out some dormers, but then if you read this, anything that's under a pitched roof considers part of that half story. That's kind of a weird... So my first crack at this was just we need to nail down what the actual definition, because as we see, developers, especially the larger ones with these big law firms and these big architects, they will find every weird little sneaky way. So, if you were to define a half story as simple as 50% of the floor area of the floor below, you could have a 4-story looking building, because you could say you have 2,000 square foot on your top floor. You could have 1,000 square foot in the floor above it and just stuff it out to your exterior perimeter, and it looks like a 4-story building. And you're left with this little alcove in the back for, I don't know, porches or heat pumps because of the stretch energy code.
There you go.
So, we want to just make sure that, again, this is something that I think we understand the intention here and we're probably okay with it, but we want to give it a pragmatic vehicle that works in this zoning to get it done.
Thank you, Tim. I mean, that was really valuable breakdown, and I think that half story also comes into play when you're walking down, say, a Main Street center, and if you look up and that top floor is stepped back from the ground, you really don't see that step back floor. So visually, it helps to maintain that look and feel. Yes.
So just to digest this, so if I put a tape measure on it, it's going to be on a 4-story building, it's going to be X number of feet.
It will be the same height as a 3.5-story building.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Your ridge height, a traditional building that we see around here are these gabled roof things. So you have a ridge height, that's the peak. You can have the same exact height building on your ridge between a 3.5-story or 4-story, but it's kind of what happens out, from there.
It's what's actually, if you will, hanging over the street as opposed to not hanging over the street.
Or what's in a straight line from your street up, that's kind of the real question there and how that is handled.
Oh, Matt drew a picture.
So I don't know how do I show this to people, but this is what
Hold it up, yeah.
Okay, this is what the zoning
you're
currently.
showing Bob, so he
Okay,
can probably-
this is what the zoning currently allows: 1, 2, 3, and a setback 4.
Yeah.
right? What my understanding we're voting on today is 1, 2, 3 and a half story, by definition of the zoning, is under a slope roof. That's what we'd be zoning. I like, because I think, Tim, I live this every single day, right? It's not really, it does, I guess, Bob, was the concern the physical ridge height? I don't understand what we're solving.
Yeah.
If the concern's ridge height, then, well, let's just set a ridge height and tell people they're going to do 3.5 stories below that. If the concern is building weird-looking 4 stories, then it's not making the building smaller. I guess is my point.
This has very little impact on overall building height.
Yeah.
Very, very little impact.
So Matt, though, your triangle, right, the roof, it's pushed back, right?
The zoning currently says habitable space under a slope roof is considered a half story.
Right.
That half story, though, as proposed, is being proposed to be stepped back.
Oh, in the new zoning.
In what's being proposed here.
In the proposed.
On the 3.5 story, on the sloped roof version.
Exactly.
Oh, that's an ugly building.
It is.
I mean, I'm like being honest, right? Like, it's an ugly building, right? So just call it 3.5 stories.
Yeah.
Or let's just set a ridge height. Like 40 feet. I said it. 40 feet. 45 feet? Can I get I don't know. I didn't do a build-out analysis and a sun angle analysis of Main Street, but if the intent is to reduce the, what was the term? Was tunneling effect? There was a term used, the canyon effect, right? If the intent is to reduce that, then
You got to chop it off.
well, yeah, make it smaller. Yeah. Or we should define the building height the way it's defined every other place in the world, which is X height to the either peak or highest plate of the building above an average grade plane. And then people get to do what they want in there, no more than 3.5 stories or 4, well, I don't care what you do, right? I'm just trying to avoid ugly buildings. And 3-story buildings with a setback sloped first story, it looks like a half story, looks like the little overrun huts on the top of the buildings in New York City, like where the elevator overrun is, or how do you get out to the water tank? I mean, it's a very much industrial look where I think if that was 3.5 stories under a sloped roof, people go, oh, cool, I get it, right? Doesn't change the canyon effect. So what's the number? Is it 42.5 feet? Is it 61 feet? I have no idea what it is, right? So, because you could address, if you just set that grade plane or you set that maximum ridge height above grade, then you can start to work on the aesthetic of it below. And we do have, obviously, portions of this get involved with the historic district. We have our, what are they called? Design guidelines,
yes, sir.
right? Because we want to try to build nice buildings. So I'm just I totally get what we're doing. I think that's weird. To set back a pitched roof is odd, right? So let's just pick a number. And want to roll? You want to pick 56.2? I don't know. Pick one.
So
right?
Matt, what you're saying is that, I think the point is, it's the height, rather than the definition of a story. We went through this drill with the dockside.
Yes. So I guess my point is that zoning bylaws need to be predictable and equitably interpretable by those who deal with them, right? So they need to be written in a way that it's abundantly clear. Now, somebody's going to find a loophole. They're going to do it, right? We're not perfect. But let's just, right, what's the number? 52, 51, 50. Let's go 50.
Well, I mean, you could calculate that based on what's written here. I mean, the ground story, 18 feet and then 16 feet from there. I mean,
Also, in the Hyannis downtown Main Street district, do we also have that kind of goofy thing where it's you can get 2-story if it's 16 feet combined for the what is that? There's some weird story calculation on the commercial first floor.
C and D kind of outline that on the staff report. Yeah, I mean, basically, the ground story is always counted as 1 story, except that a single ground story over 18 feet in height is counted as 2 stories. And then similarly, each upper story is counted as one additional story, except that any upper story over 16 feet is counted as 2 stories. So if you take that.
So I could have a 17-foot ground floor and a 15-foot, 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 I mean, that's a.
Yeah. It's a tall building, right? This is like,
a really
all
tall
right,
building.
okay, you got it, right, that's right.
So 3 stories, 18, 16, 16 is 50 feet right there.
Right.
You know?
And it's 3 stories
I mean, is that,
before we get to the 4th.
Yeah,
you know?
is that, I mean, does anyone have a ridge height on the infamous 201 Main Street? Like, has anyone shot the ridge? I mean, there's got to have, right? So, like, I totally get the concept. I love it, right? Let's make it look better. Let's not make it look like towers, but, like, write the number. We could write the number.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely something that could be simplified. The language could be simplified. Would the board be open to continuing this and letting staff work to take in comments and see if we can work something up here? Work up a draft? Jim, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to,
Jim's
happy to
game.
provide. Yep.
And I think the aesthetic component is really important too, because I know what you got. I know where you're trying to go with the setback story. I totally understand it. But when you compile, right, this is what everybody wants. When you look at the design guidelines we have, which are important, right? You've got the historic guys, which their components of that are wholly enforceable. And if the outcry was about the look of the Cape, then let's get it like a little bit better, or like we move this, like we vote for this as written, and like you got that. And the physical ridge height doesn't change, and I think the concern about the neighborhood district was that transition in height. The concern about the canyon effect was because there's a stark contrast in height, right? So we have a chance to kind of address a couple of these issues. Let's just like pick the number.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, you know, staff's going to look into this and come back to us with some information. Remember, I mean, the dark side stuff. How many times we were sitting around talking about ridge heights? We're all, you know, driving around with Dan Ojala and looking at things up in the sky and you know, all that stuff. The crane, we had cranes out there. And then I remember we were all in here talking with Dan Ojala and whoever the architect was and all of them about, okay, is it the average grade height? Because that property went down like this, down that hill to that boat ramp. So my thing was like, it's almost like an extra story is being added on. So your ridge height is effectively one on one side and to the other. But I remember we had a lot of discussions and there was different ridge heights. And I think there was something floating around early on. I think it was a diagram. I don't know if we put it together or if it was their applicant that was kind of this buildup that even had, I think, this building in kind of a plan view. It was like, you know, town hall, dockside,
The apartments over by the
hospital, whatever the thing is
hospital.
across from the hospital's apartments, and it kind of had like all the different ridge heights with some of the average grade areas. So that's a good kind of starting point for reference.
Yeah.
I think
dig that up.
I think one of the important things about if the average grade plane is a concept that we're going to talk about as a baseline, is that measuring building height from the average grade plane in exactly a scenario like that prevents that build up because yes, on a sloped lot you get penalized. Right, your ridge height from the one side of your building is you're on that average grade plane. That building is in essence has to be lower, right? But you look at where we are, right? You've got a cascading topography down to the harbor, like it kind of works. Without that, you've got just a definition of a story, and a subterranean story is also a story if it's 50% of it or more. Subterranean space is not a story if 50% of it or more of the foundation's perimeter is below grade, right? So if you had a 4-story building and one side was exposed,
You have a 5-story building because you could have a walkout.
right? I've built 4.5-story houses. Only because more than 50% of the perimeter of the foundation is below grade, and that one end that has a door and a window and something else in it, that is not considered a story under zoning, right? It's
Matt,
right?
stop putting all the tricks in the public domain.
Okay, but that's I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid exactly that, right? That I'm trying to get a level playing field so people know exactly how this is supposed to look. I would move that we continue this matter to.
Should we take public comment?
Or did we take public comment yet?
Do you want to talk?
This one fires me up, Bob. This one fires me up.
The building heights are beyond my pay grade, so I'm not going to go there. But, I mean, I encourage the further discussion. I think you understand what the concerns were from the public. If you can come up with a building height that accomplishes that instead of having the 4 stories. Again, I'll go back to my original comments the first time. You know, this idea of the 4 stories, and talking to Jim, now I read through, I looked at the new report, I didn't make the calculation, but less than 13% of what's coming before planning board are 4-story buildings. So, you know, why do we have this, you know, if the public is concerned with that, why do we have 4-story buildings? The intent of this committee, you know, we took a centrist approach, you know, as Councilor Bloom said, we had people who are coming to us saying, have a moratorium. Other people saying, don't do anything. We tried to find a sweet spot that would address some of these concerns and not put a chill on development, but address some of the concerns people had about the heights. Now, there may be some other ways to work on that. You know, I'm certainly open, again, as with the other item, to talk to Jim, but I think you heard what I think came through loud and clear from lots of the public, both business owners and residents, about the concerns about the overall height and the impact it had. So I'm happy to see you take it under discussion and kind of sort through it, see if we can find a way to address that. So I encourage it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So yes, Matt, let's go ahead and look for a motion.
If just before I make them.
I mean, yeah, Matt and I have been sitting here just going off on all this stuff. Does anyone else?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to look at some of the things that are on Main Street, and you know, some of them that are 3 stories, they look gigantic, but others that are 3 stories don't. So I agree. Maybe it's the height of the building. So we need to just sort that out. I don't like I mean, with all due respect, everything that you've done was amazing. But I didn't like the scenario whereas you could have 4 stories of 15 feet. That's a gigantic building.
Yeah, massive.
Like, I mean, if you think about like the minimum there, and people will look at that and say, oh, I can do this. And,
Max it out.
Yep.
Right.
So I encourage the idea of reviewing this in more detail and pushing it off to, I don't know if we can do it by the 24th.
No, I think this would have to be continued to the 24th as well. I think that's the best thing to do. Our next meeting has a busy agenda, and we need to give those things the time and respect they need.
Right.
Yeah. So, Ray, anything to add? You okay with continuing this? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay. Matt, do you want to make the motion?
I move that we continue item 2026-005 to November 24th at 7:30.
Just 7 p.m.
Oh, we already have 7 p.m. full.
Oh. Well, you got to say the meeting start date.
7 p.m.
Because he thinks the first one's
Just
only
to
going to
make
be
it
30
official.
minutes.
Make it official. All right. Ray with the second. All those in favor. Michael.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Okay, that item is continued as well. Moving along, general correspondence, Chapter 91, Notice 307 Millway Road, Blish Point Boat Ramp and Channel Dredging. That's very exciting. Staff updates, Jim.
Yep, a couple updates. First, in your staff report, but also posted on the planning department's webpage and included in the town manager's communication at the last town council. We did update the multifamily housing report, so it's a once a year is how we've been doing it. A snapshot in time of every multifamily housing development that is either in permitted, under construction, or has received an occupancy in the last 7 years. So give it a look. We recorded it, so it's about 30 minutes long. There's also a slide deck online, and the report itself is.
Oh, come on,
right
Jim,
up.
give us a spoiler.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. That's the spoil.
All right.
I love it.
That's the good news.
Kyle, update.
We are also updating the town's open space and recreation plan currently. The open space committee actually just met before this meeting. They approved the initial draft that will be put out to the public for a public meeting on November 19th. We encourage everybody to come and view to, we'll have it posted on the website probably at least a week in advance of that meeting, probably a couple weeks in advance. Sent around some initial drafts to the planning board. We will also be coming back to the planning board after we meet with the public and finalize any edits to get a kind of vote of a recommendation and approval from this body. So we're moving along. There will be a public meeting on November 19th. If you're curious, we'll be posting the draft before that.
Fantastic.
One more thing by request, business cards coming your way.
Wow.
Question for the masses, though, for the board. We were going to print them off for you, and then we thought maybe certain people don't want certain phone numbers and emails on their business card. So either tonight or maybe shoot me an email with what your preferred contact is, whether that's email, phone number, both, whatever you would like. If you don't mind, just send it my way so that we can print these off for you.
Jim, can my official title be Philosopher King?
You can scribble whatever you want on there, right?
Oh, man. No titles. Okay, so very nice. Well done. Thank you for all that. And just get my agenda back out here. Staff updates. No, anticipated all of it.
Anticipated everything
has
that happened
everybody?
before?
Yeah, right. Has everyone had a chance to review our minutes from September 22nd, 2025? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes from September 22nd, 2025.
Thank you, Mary. And a second?
Second day.
Thank you, Michael. All those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The minutes are approved. Future meetings, as mentioned, November 10th and November 24th here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. Anything further before we adjourn? I move that we adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you.